Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Fool's Day 2023, Crop 2. Decided to turn the stream on today and have a nice little show. Have a few guests, a couple staples, a couple newbies. For the most part, everyone knows good guy Stenz. We'll bring him up, and I'm going to keep him on mute so he can't say hello because, it is what it is. My friend VJJ from RVA Racing has his camera off. I don't know if that's what's going on today, so I'm going to leave him back. Ah, there he is. What's up, Captain? And our very special guest with some big-time news. So it seems, after myself looking into it for a little bit, it's pretty nice. So everyone, welcome SoCal Stable. What's going on? Nice.
How's it going, guys?
Look at that guy.
They're in Discord, but
what up? What up?
And then Stenz is unmuted. RVA's here. Good morning. Good morning. Let's have some fun. It's 10 a.m. I'm going to check my foals first because I'm selfish and I want to get my bitching and moaning out of the way if it doesn't work out. And then we're going to tackle, Stenz, what you said, top 10, top 15 stables. What they ended
We'll go to SoCal next because the longer we wait to get to SoCal, the longer he probably looks at it before he waits for the actual reveal.
That's fair. All right, let me get mine in. You can chit chat, but JJ, welcome. You want me to call you that on stream, or you got another name? There it is.
You can call me RVA if you want to keep it classy.
I don't give a fuck. You tell me.
Well, you can't see it. I got my Mrs. mug today, Miss VJJ today. So,
how many copies do you
have?
Stenz?
The hydration station's got a full French press 32 ounce sitting here, so
nice.
A little bit of water as well.
I got a Philly.
There it is. That's big time.
This is that's the GVG. That's the handoff right there. When you actually really need it, and you work with GVG, you get what you need. That's the best part about it.
Olaf, right?
So that's
awesome.
Yeah.
Y'all can call him that. He's a goat. That's it. He's a goat. But all right, well,
that's big. What was the preference count on it? 6.
Yeah.
That's about what you would expect, though.
No, I lost preference, which is weird.
Lost a little bit, and you stayed an S minus.
Yeah, firm, yeah.
I mean, the S minus thing, like I said, that for me, number one is I need a Philly because we started with one man.
Order of operations, number 1, Philly. The rest is nice to have.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that. I feel like she'll still be like she'll probably mid to high tier racer. She'll probably like maybe compete in restricted S minus if they have them still, and possibly win S allowances or S minus allowances. But we'll see what happens when we get there, and I guess we'll see in 2 months, little fucker. But yeah, that's a good one.
Should be a good sprinter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I gotta wait for Mike Sowers to run the genetics and everything and see if I actually came out or if it was a pump play. But it was where I was going season 1 and likely going again season 2, so that would have been a twin or full sibling. Yeah, I'm all right with that. And then I got one more, and this is probably, I didn't make a big deal about this because she isn't what she was. But this is the big girl from Zook and myself. So let's see what Joey Porter, aka fucking Sakina, the queen,
double
finish live. Let's go. I took my genius advice and I went with Serenity now, and it paid off tenfold. I did it all by myself. Nice. I didn't listen to any influence. Just do the work yourself, and you can succeed and be successful like myself. Damn. Holy shit, that's a way to start the morning. Let's go. All right, Stenz, what did I do right? What did I do wrong there?
I think that's perfectly good there. There's no issues at all. It's probably a good horse. It's probably not a top racer right away because it's coming from an S minus, but you got the grade you wanted, you got preferences, you got a Philly.
Gained a bunch of preferences almost. Like
I don't know, like how many Phillies are there that are better than an S minus 20 at LTS? There's not many, right?
That's fair. Yeah, there's probably a dozen or so Phillies total. So SoCal walked away. He's so pissed or he's so happy. One of the two. We better get
Because
to his horse.
He's like,
So,
"Let's
you
see,
want to share your screen?
I took a sneak peek and I got rugged on both of them pretty bad, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. You can go to YSM stable and then we'll take a look and discuss.
Stenz, you have it pulled up?
Yeah, I've got. It's gonna maybe do the. Let me get to the right page here, but
I gotta let Zook know we got a filly. I guess I should check the B plus too because I did some scientific calculation breeding on that as well. See if I'm a genius or not. All right, got an A. I'm a genius. And I got another filly. I'm so smart. It's crazy. Ask me anything.
That's big time. 3 for 3.
I had Mooncresta because none of y'all gave me advice on shitty ones. So that one looked like it had a little bit of legs to it. This is not going to be a solid horse. I mean, not a great horse, but it'll probably be a nice 2025 claimer is what I can ask for. Maybe a 30. Like, maybe an allowance winner. But this horse is probably going to end up in claiming race. I'm just being honest. I'm not going to lie to myself and say, oh, I have the fucking best A filly on the game. Like, that's not true. It came from the shittiest B plus. But she had like she had numbers, you know what I mean? She was like dead in the boost, but
no, she's got matches and heart.
Like, you know, maybe if she's dog shit on the track, she's 0-6. She even lifts her feet up. So maybe it passes over. I don't know. Jack all about this breeding combination. Is the color matching? Is that a thing? Is that something that's like a positive, or does it not even matter?
I missed the question.
I missed that. I think we all were zoomed in.
These tickets, like, does the color matching on them and them having glasses, does that mean anything for breeding, or is it just like completely random shit that you don't pay attention to?
I mean, those are matches that you had before, so it made that horse have the temper and have more matches. But I think moving forward, you can ignore those.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it meant
anything. I gave him the Gen 0 genes, and that's all that matters at that point. Perfect. You don't really have to remember that it had a purple background or whatever.
I'm going to remember always. All right, Stenz, here you go. You take the wheel. I got to text Zoom
what happened. Okay, so I've got YSM pulled up. I've filtered for essentially purple foals and sorted by age. So this should be the new crop, but it's not going to be in order of S and S minus until we get that sorted. But I think there's two that we for sure needed to talk about, and did I flag the other one? So here's the one that we were all interested in today. Foal of California Love was the first and only to breed with Rose of Zion, which is from a 1 of 1, but it's the 1 of 1 filly and not the 1 of 1 sire. So it had a better temper on the ticket than any of the other Ziggies did, but the same stat profile of start and speed and heart. Mix that with the Ziggy on the male side. Did you check the breeding report to make sure this wasn't an inbred? I wouldn't put it past it.
Yeah, it was a monster breeding report. I mean, looked like it should have been an S plus. So yeah, I mean, you look at this, the preference is kind of that 2-star left is kind of pretty bad there. That shouldn't have happened. Yeah. So I lost out there. And then, it really looked like it was going to be an S plus. Obviously, my hopes were for that, or a filly, and I'd got neither. So we got a colt here with some pretty weak preferences, but the reports look good. I mean, hopefully some outlier stats and a solid racer. And I don't know, I can use it in house and stuff. But do
you have the report pulled up? Do you remember was it going to be close to a sprinter?
I'll drop it into the chat. Yeah, I mean, it was going to be probably the best sprinter in the game based on the report. It was pretty.
So I'm wondering if it just didn't hit. If there's something that's pulling it down to not be an S plus, but it still is like S plus sprinter. Like the overall grade maybe doesn't matter here if it at least hit in the right spots.
We have to look at one thing. If we think the Ziggies were the pure sprinters more so than the Astros, you put two Ziggies together. So either way you look at it, you get two S's at the best of what they are. I would be surprised if there's a better sprinter racer, even if there's an S plus, just because the S plus was probably made with Morningwood, which seemed to have kind of a mid-distance profile, where this, like I said, is 2 sprinters. So I think it's going to be a useful racer for sure. But yeah, I agree. You lost a little bit on preferences. You lost the coin flip on gender and probably a coin flip on global grade. But as will be a theme of today and has been of my commentary, I don't lose a lot of sleep over the global grade as long as it's not drastically out kicking its coverage. So if this was like an SS minus, I'd say that's a fake SS minus. And if it didn't go to an S minus, then I'm not too worried about it. It's probably a very strong S. So.
It's still the first colt that will be able to go in the barn that's not actually Rose of Zion. So I mean, I think there's still a lot of value there. I mean, fillies are obviously great so early, but selling out 35 covers is also really fun.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like Stenz was saying, I mean, I don't think you'd be hard pressed to find 2 S horses that bred that have like the same distance preference better than these 2. So I mean, hopefully stacking distance preference on these makes just a great sprinter. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy either way. Obviously, paid a pretty fortune, and then Mo ended up kind of rugging us and dropping the price on this, even though we haven't quoted saying you wouldn't do that, and we haven't gotten any responses about getting a refund. So hopefully he's listening and he does the right thing. I mean, you know, this is one of those situations you don't really need to tie yourself to a price. It was kind of a nonsense thing. I think he thought he would get more covers than he did, and just tried to react late to get, you know, more by dropping the price. But it's like, look, you don't have to promise anyone in the community anything. Keep your prices fluid. You don't get yourself in this situation. But hopefully he does the right thing. I'm sure he will. And yeah, I mean, I'm happy. We'll see what happens. Stenz, I dropped this report in our Discord if you want to take a look and pull it up.
Okay, sorry. I knew that was going to happen. That's why I was trying to avoid that screen, but I can pull it up from where you're talking, I think. Got it.
Do you have the StreamYard? No, take your StreamYard and put it in a separate.
Just got a text from my mother-in-law asking me how my horses went. So that's the status of my life right now.
Mainstream adoption right there.
Yeah.
This looks good. And yeah, we've seen a few at the LDF profile that had huge heart wicks. I know the Pelner Fields ones looked kind of similar from how wide that box and whisker is on heart. But yeah, everything seems to the right or just at S here. So it'd be hard pressed to not be pretty damn close to an S plus. And then you totally missed on the half star on left there. So ultimately, I think it's probably a really strong horse, and I think it was worth a gamble to be the first and only to use Rose of Zion this season. So we'll come up, pull up as I say, the only other one I had for YSM, and you can add a third if you need as well, is Full Snowball, which Snowball is a unique blood S minus, better than an S minus 20. I forget if it's a 23 or whatever it is. So he bred it with the Derby winner, which initially was bred by Absolute Horsepower. Ask me anything why I traded that one away. But this looks fairly solid as well. It's tough to expect to get anything better than an S because you started with an S minus, even if it was a good one. It looks like probably changing distance profiles, which that's going to happen at LDF because the only LDF that really had that long distance profile was the Scuba ones. So you're taking S minus speed, S minus stamina, and going with S plus stamina. So probably giving up what was decently a decent sprinter to try to pull up that distance preference, which, I mean, you got to start somewhere. So, and then you got to bolt out of it. So you don't have to use Apollo or Pelner Fields again if you don't want to. So probably a pretty good outcome.
Yeah, so this one also is one of the private ones, part of the deal I made with YSM when I brought in Kelly. So this one was coming to me too. And so again, was hoping for a filly here, at least one of the 2 fillies, so I could build off my personal stable. So a little disappointed here as well. Snowball was a funny one to figure out. I mean, you would think he was a sprinter, but he couldn't win sprinting. the finish kind of helped him get some like 9-10 furlong wins here and there. But yeah, I think DP is changing a little bit, but I think that the goal with this one was to maybe get a Derby horse, and you gotta love the gray coat there. And
I agree.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I have some fillies in house to use A pluses, but this is definitely a little bit, I needed a filly out of one of these. So back to the drawing table, and I got a couple more foals coming my way in season 5. So hopefully I get some better luck there. And, the guys at YSM we're all friends. We'll figure something out along the way to get me a filly, I'm sure.
Yeah. Just looking through the rest of them here for YSM quick.
Yeah.
Barbarity and No Regret must have went Clips. So you got better preferences than you started with in both cases, I think. One filly, one colt. So nothing too crazy, probably what you'd expected. Henrietta didn't get the 9 of 9, so Pete might not be able to sell it for a fortune this time, maybe, but still a decent result, getting an S- from an A.
Yep. We took
Did that go to Shawnee Bear again?
I'm not sure.
I can obviously look. You were talking Polychrome?
Yeah, we took Polychrome to EOB's One Eye Blind. The goal was to get a filly. We would have liked to see something in the soft, maybe half a star or a star. Both of those were, this is going to be a building piece here. They're both low preference tickets, but we wanted to get stamina into our stable on LDS side because it's pretty rare. And so I think we're happy with getting a filly here. I might. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I think One Eyed Blind is probably a pretty good Derby horse to try to work with as well. And I think that's what you're talking about with the stamina and the speed. And the start is super low, which for longer distances you probably don't care as much about. So I think he's going to get plenty of play. I think he already is getting plenty of play, but I think going forward, you're going to see some LDF try to bring that in. The only problem with that probably is, and it's not a problem if you're at LDS, but you almost would prefer that there was only 1 star soft there, so most of the firm horses could stay as a firm. And that's, you get the result you just got, where 0 star soft, which I'll reveal some on our stable when we try to do the same type of thing between RTS and RTF. So I like the logic for sure on this one.
Yeah, and it's Astro too. So really, we have all of the LDS bolts now we can hit. We have Clips we can hit, and we have even take them back to the firm side if we want somewhere down, or take her back to the firm side somewhere down the line if we want. So pretty good one right there.
Doesn't the no stars, doesn't that just open you up to having utility on both sides?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
If you're trying to build preference, sure, I guess. But if that wasn't meant to be a racer, because you said it's a building piece, so I imagine you're just going to retire early if it doesn't show legs.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of maybe an underlooked thing as opposed to an overlooked thing. I don't know. Maybe it opens up utility in races, so you don't have to suffer.
If you have a big enough. If you have a big enough stable where you can make moves like that and not, miss out on racing those seasons, I think it's good. It's tough for a small one to do that.
Yeah.
You're basically benching her probably a big majority of the time. So
yeah.
Just scroll through secretariats here.
Smaller stables have to be more spot on with their breed, whereas Stenz can go inbreed on purpose just to have fun and play breeding games. That didn't bother you at all. That would piss off a smaller stable if that happened to them. So it's smaller stables, until they get the hang of it, until they get the stock, I feel they have to be more direct, more spot on with their breed selections. But that's nice. We did a lot of nice coverage.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had Secretariat stable up here while you guys were chatting through, and I just scrolled through. Obviously, a ton of S minuses, and that's what happens when you have a bunch of S colts and the volume of fillies that he or I have in that case. His flagship horse she's the one. It was the best Sprinter S. It's the most rare Astro RTF. He did something comparable to what we did this month with ours, and he went to RTS. He's probably not thrilled with the outcome, but he's not going to have like a Stenz temper tantrum either, I don't think. So he mixed 1.5 star soft, 1.5 star firm, and actually got a 1/2 star soft when he's really hoping to get either 0 star soft or actually somehow managed to get a firm roll. And then he got a colt as well, which probably isn't something that he was that interested in. So I would have to guess that this wasn't the best outcome for Secretariat, but that's probably what he gets for never using our studs. So
he's not even here to defend himself. That's the crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised when everyone else was going to Mundo and Walter White. I was surprised he didn't double down and try to get the an S plus Colt at RTS. But I think the poison got taken down that he wasn't expecting. So I feel like he could have maybe still gone big A or something, but. Yeah, he's probably not thrilled with a Colt there, more so than the soft. He was breeding until last minute.
Through, yeah, he literally this morning.
He was 9:25 and
what he was going to do. Yeah. Looking through, good guy OEB, obviously a legend, was part of the GVG offer as well. He's got more horses than I think anybody, unless you combine the 3 big brain stables together, which are operated by 3 different individuals. So definitely OEB is managing the most horses of anybody that I'm aware of. So only a couple S's here, but that's because most of his stuff, other than the Colts, like OEB itself, are a little bit lower in grade. So got a middling kind of RDF here. We'll pull up the 2 above it here. So he went to LTF. Him and Soulmates are definitely trying to make pathways there. We're not, even though we probably should be, but I'll let these guys get it figured out, and then we'll either follow suit or buy it from them, one of the 2. So let's see what he had to do. I'm guessing a Scuba LTS is probably part of this process. No, he went with his own LDF Colt and then went with an LTS filly. Yeah, that's a repeatable outcome too, because he probably should have got a 1/2 star turf and he got the 1/2 star firm he was supposed to get. So yeah, he could run that back every time and actually probably get a little bit more turf. He probably got a Colt, which is what he would have wanted. What's crazy about this one is he got an S from an S- and an A+. So that is
an insane
massively out kicking the coverage there as well. So that's an interesting one, and probably makes me plant a flag in Persian Bold, because Persian Bold is a horse we used all the time in the betas because it was always available. It was reasonably priced, and it's kind of got pushed to the side here a little bit of live because GVG brought in 2 S- Colts that weren't active in the betas, and then obviously Shawnee Bear from Pocono Racing was available and cheap. So where Persian Bold probably would have got a lot of use, he hasn't so much, but it's not bad to have in your progeny tab.
Stenz, can you check the
LTS piece too, right?
Sorry, one at a time. SoCal, what'd you have?
Pardon me, sir. I didn't realize that there was a line here. Go ahead. You go first, since,
No, I was just saying.
This is my show.
He's a big piece. Persian Bold's a big piece for LTS as well, so he'll eventually be picking up a lot of covers on that side of things. He's a nice piece that'll get you over there in like one breed if you have the right Gen 0.
Yeah. You wanted to look at the filly?
Yeah, click on the mare. I want to see what she did season 1.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, maybe he ran this breed back. I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, it's not a question. It's just I know what I'm doing, and you know.
He did try to go LTF with it. Did he go with Persian Bold again last month? He did. So only got an S-, got worse preferences than he got this time.
Fucking crazy.
That's a hell of a
that's a
roll,
nice breed for him. Yeah. I think
right.
he'll take that. Then another horse from OAB. I'm not familiar with the bloodline here. That went with Scott Street out of Rolo's camp, and then a nice A+ filly. So yeah, an S and an A+, getting an S and getting decent preferences as well. Getting a filly, he'll like that. That's two really nice outcomes for OEB.
Touch on.
If there's questions in the chat, like as I say, if there's questions in the chat, stop me because I can't see the chat right now. So.
Let me tell you something right now. I'm the captain of this ship, Stenz. You need to calm down, buddy. Too much coffee this morning. Yeah, Keith points out the marketplace is glitchy right now because everyone's posting their shit. But also, I just love the only 2 horses sold since 10 a.m. One was a 24 boost B plus mare that sold for $80K. So I don't know if there was like a deal behind the scenes for that or not.
That was Sage's. He sold it. I saw that $1,000 bucks.
I figure you guys would know more about that.
It was a Gen 0, so I guess.
Yeah.
But
and then
I mean, if you can use a Gen 0, fine, it's maybe worth that, but I wouldn't have paid that anywhere near that for that.
Apparently, no one's ever seen SoCal before, which is great.
So I
pulled up GVG's face. I guarantee no one besides Keith and I have seen GVG's face on streams, unless you watched our old like Pony Plug stuff back
on streams, but
other game prime. But yeah,
I'm aware of who he is, but I'm not going to dox him. La Jolla Farms, good huge stable as well. He's got to love this outcome. Oahu, which was a good RDF piece, but not the crazy.
I don't want to be. He's Midwest, bro. You gotta give him a break.
That's in-house S plus too.
I don't know anything in Minnesota.
Yeah, even like the rarities on these aren't crazy, and I know everybody was talking about Wasatch. I know Sowers was interested in it, maybe used it as well. I didn't think on paper it looked that great, but this is certainly a great outcome. So the breeding reports must have been pretty good from that one. And nice if you can pull it off with rarity 104 and a rarity 72, because there's probably a lot more rare pieces at RDF than that. He gets the filly as well, and must have outkicked coverage on preferences. Looks like average, and then half star extra. RDF was always going to be tough, but I mean,
A minus for sure. Tough, I don't care what anyone says. I'll fight anyone.
I think A minus is the toughest grade to race at for Gen 0. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. RDF at the top is hard.
I need next month to be here already, so I don't have to like sweat it so much.
You have to bear with me while I scroll through Soul Snake's 50 fillies or whatever he's got making horses here. And again, I haven't looked at any of these, including our own, so there'll be some live raging when we get to ours, I'm sure.
I can't wait.
Nothing crazy. Renee is I believe that was RTF S minus piece that was probably best suited to make LTF, and I know he tried that in the first window. I can't remember the result he got for sure. It looks like another LTF attempt here with Myra Monkhouse that didn't quite get there. Another attempt with Full of My Heart is Diamonds, didn't quite get there. I don't know how great or how poorly Soulmates would feel about these results. Certainly got some solid S's at RDF. I'm going to say I'm underwhelmed. I have higher expectations for Soulmates, I guess. So this Renee is a really nice RTF piece that can make LTF because it's got more firm than anything else, and it's pretty easy to wipe out this 1.5 stars right, and it's got 2 stars turf. So he went RTS and RTF. So he's experimenting, because if you wanted to do RTF, which is where he ended up, you could have used true RTF pieces. And I know, like I said last time, he went to try to make LTF, which we can pull up here. I always pay attention to stuff Soulmates does to try to figure out if you should be doing it as well. So last season he did go LTS on the Colt side to get an LTF with some decent preferences already. That's 4.5 stars, and throughout all the betas, we really struggled to get about 5.5 stars, and he gets an S from an S minus filly. So that's last season. That was a pretty solid piece, but maybe nothing super crazy there this season.
Airdrops are live. Everyone go check their monies. I'm going right now.
What was the total payout RVA, do you know?
I'm checking mine now. I didn't realize it was
Holy,
out there.
we fucking rich.
67.
Jeez. I'll tell you right now.
Stenz, can you teach me algebra real quick, and I can tell you what it was?
No, I'll look at it later. I'm not too worried about it.
I'll figure it out in 2 seconds.
No takesies.
I figured I was gonna guess like 55,000 total, but I'm not sure.
No takesies, backsies. It's mine now. Woo. We can go full shopping now, boys.
What do we got?
3 for 3 on Phillies, and I'm rich again. What kind of day can this be? This is probably the best Monday ever. And it's only 10:30. And we didn't even get the Stenz raging yet. What a day. What a day indeed. Woo. Put GVG stable towards the back end.
Yeah, let's see GVG.
So that way.
I can move them. Yeah, I was gonna do us last, but
I'm interested to see what Spirit of Ecstasy did again this month. That's a big one.
Looking
like
through D stables.
45,000. Stenz.
Okay, so a little bit less than I thought it was gonna be.
That was a good guess, though. That's a Mel Kiper best guess. Spot on.
We got to check out Eddie too.
I've got him up here, yep, and then Wimbledon Turf. The only people I'm kind of skipping from the top of the leaderboard is Big Brain because I think it's just so hard to review in a concise fashion what he accomplished. So sometime later on I can look through Big Brain, but probably not easy to stream. Looking through D Stables now. First thing, if anybody from D Stables is listening, come on, guys, clean up your silks. You cannot have the white background on your silks like that. You guys are
not everyone.
You guys are.
Mine does the same thing. Not everyone's a fucking Photoshop expert. All right, you calm down. Calm down with that, Mr. Mel.
Clean it up a little bit. Clean it up a little bit, and then I didn't look at what they bred or what they attempted to breed, but seeing last season they had gotten 2 S pluses and didn't get any this season. Wondering if they're happy with those outcomes or not. But some solid preferences on some of these S's and a couple fillies. So,
I mean,
a lot of the wear.
It seems like a lot less S pluses this time around.
That's what I'm going to say. Well, didn't we set the over under in the Discord?
There was 20 last season, and GVG asked if it would be over and under. I said over as well because so many of the S minus Colts got a lot of action last month. Like we used Shawnee Bear 16 times herself or something like that, which basically guarantees we couldn't have got an S plus at LDF. And I'm sure we didn't get an S plus. I don't know that, I guess, but we used an S this time as opposed.
Yeah, Peebs is saying a lot less. I mean, we have 0 for GVG, 0 for Baltazar, 0 for D Stable.
Stop spoiling it. Come on. What about the content, SoCal? Now everybody, our numbers probably just drop.
I'll see you later.
10 people probably left.
Back to breakfast.
Unbelievable.
Well, JPEG Lord, good guy Ghost, fresh off his newest timeout.
Fair is fair.
He got an LTS S plus too. That's hard to do.
But he got a Colt.
He does have that. Yeah, he does have that. That is like the super rare LTS.
How many?
I forget that. It's the S20.
Shit, I gotta find that thing. How many LTS?
He got 2 S pluses. Yeah.
S pluses did we get last season?
Oh, Warwick that's nice because that's only got Mundo blood. Because Warwick is not 101.
LTS would have had a couple last season. I think Eddie got one probably, and then if we were just on D stables, if they got one, or if it was a different archetype last time.
LTS
there probably wasn't a ton.
LTF had 0, RTS had 1, RTF had 2, LDS had 2, LDF had 3, RDS had 4, RDF had 6. So heavier on the RD and less on the LD.
This is a really nice outcome here. And shout out to Ghost, who is a temper hater. I don't know when this all developed, but he used to love it. Now he hates it. And I've always been a little bit suspicious of that take because I thought temper was at least breeding consistency, if not racing's consistency as well. So when I would see the A+ on Mundo, I would have thought that would maybe make it less consistent of a breeder than, say, a Walter White that had S- there. And that did inform our decision of using Walter White instead of Mundo this month. But 2 S's together and get an S+.
Yeah,
now, some of that could be...
has S+, so that's That's part of it.
Yeah, and it's super strong piece to begin with. Yeah, JPEG Lord doesn't have a lot of volume, but he's got some crazy nice individual pieces.
Yeah, it's a big
Then
piece.
Amumu, he went with Hans's, one of the top 3 LTS scubas. We have one, Soulmates has one, and then kind of just a middling, at least for rarity, but there aren't that many S20s, or if this is S19 and a half or whatever that ends up being, there's not that many fillies there. So yeah, he's got a leg up at LTS and RTS with this window of breeding. So it's super solid result for JPEG Lord.
Mo said the only horse he saw from last breeding that jumped 2 grades had 2 parents with bad temper. I'm like, in breeding, I said before, but like I kind of ignore temper. I don't know if, like, obviously nobody knows what the correct play to do is yet, so I don't know. I've never put much stock into it, but obviously it probably has an effect. I just don't know how much of an effect yet. I guess we don't really know how much of an effect yet. Oh, okay.
Good Sours. I was listening. I was trying to actually listen.
Yeah, I mean, so with temper,
you know?
Yeah, with temper, if you got low temper, it probably meant your other, stats are higher and
racing
in
stats
grade.
were good.
So,
I agree with
so
that.
why,
It was
Like a lot of the 101s have 0 temper. Like, I don't mind taking my 2 temper mare into a 0 temper stallion like that, like, because I'm getting boosted everywhere else. And at some point down the line, I can get temper into that foal in breeding if I need to, like for the next cycle. Maybe it's more important to lay down like racing stats before focusing on temper. I don't know. I mean, it can go either way. Like, if you're building up, and that's one thing I want to hear other people's opinions on too. Is like, people that aren't fast breeding, the ones that are taking it slower and building their base out, like, they're obviously, their strategy is a lot different from just going straight to it, like trying to get the best instead of trying to build the best. But I'm gonna have Moknowz on later, and he's doing the tree. He's building the roots through breeding. So I'll have him give his little breakdown. Maybe we get a little more knowledge on it. But yeah, go ahead, Stenz, take it over.
Pulled up Sours stable here. I knew Annie Oakley was a really good A+ filly, so I wanted to see what he did. We went with Shawnee Bear, which is probably the most common move at LDF in the first 2 seasons. Got a filly, got the S- as opposed to the A+, and a little bit better on preferences than maybe he would have expected. So he's going to like that one. And then his kind of flagship filly is Big Nose Kate, RDF piece. And he went with the last RD major champion, I believe, Pasture S, and got an S. Looks like kind of what you would have expected. Preferences probably fall in line. Got a colt, probably in this case, probably wanted a filly. So a decent result. Nothing super crazy there for Sours, I don't think. A few more S's in there, but we'll keep moving to the Derby winners stable, Balthazar.
Shame he couldn't be here today. So many business calls that take 37 hours. It's crazy.
He's probably syndicating his stable now that he's got the Kentucky Derby under his belt. So, yeah, he's got a monster LD stable, both soft and firm. I'm curious. This has got to be
just going to get better.
This has got to be a Pelliner. Probably a Pelliner breed. If this would be a Pelliner breed as well. Might as well just pull them all up because I want to see what he did at LDF in particular. Nightmare, nice. I know for sure.
A nice little added thing is back when you're on that, if you just click on it, it's just a drop box. It doesn't have to go to a whole new page. Maybe I'll have to suggest that. Instead of opening up a brand new page,
it might
a drop box, like a small parents in the top right. Like, you can fit all of this into a small drop box, I'm sure. But maybe you have the option, drop box or view in separate page.
So here was the breed that caught my eye when he did it. Nightmare with Pelliner Fields, obviously again Derby champion. Really saw some reports, had some crazy radials on the heart, or box and whiskers for heart. He goes with Nightmare, which I think is the old Soulmates LDF filly. So it's another one when we talked with SoCal about maybe leaning into distance preference. This is definitely an example of trying to change distance preference. So you take S stamina and try to bump it up, but you're probably sacrificing start and speed a little bit. So if this was a 5 furlong horse or 6 furlong horse, and this was a 10 or 11 furlong horse, the question is, do you end up in the middle, or is there that much variance in breeding that it still could be a 10 furlong horse, or it still could be a 5 furlong horse? So these first ones at LDF hitting the track are going to be really interesting because, like I said, the only horses that could really get you the stamina were the Scuba Sires, it looked like on paper. Even the S minuses skewed to be sprinters. Then Mill Street, he's kind of... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was just saying that some of the Astros actually ended up showing stamina, which was interesting too. So there's a couple options there. But yeah, I think Scuba is probably the most common way to get the stamina in LD.
Then the Foal of Mill Street. So this was initially a YSM horse, I think. Flirted with that a few times. Or he had had it at one point. Soulmates had it at one point. And then Monarch, which was the old Chico out of Ghost Stable. So super strong raw components. Rank 1 with rank 29, rank 1 with rank 33. Ziggy, Scuba, same thing we talked about, just the opposite of the last one. So I would suspect of the two, this might be the better offspring, but we'll see where the distance preference falls for both of these. Looks like he lost a half star on Firm of both of these, are, I guess, of the options. Coin flip, he lost the coin flip on both. Same exact preferences for both of them, actually. Did he go another one with Monarch, but an S minus getting up to an S? Pretty solid for Balthazar. Good week for him. Oh, man.
OEB's buying more horses.
He doesn't have enough, so.
He just bought a churro breed for $100K.
Well, I guess in theory that's cheaper.
Do we know?
Churro? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Primetime or Churro ended up, to be honest with you. That's pretty sexy there. This must be a Primetime breed here. Just to have the preferences, it almost has to be. Selfishly, I want to see the RTF piece myself. This one seems like a bummer here. I'm curious what he did. Lollipop was a really nice S minus, I believe. So that outcome he's probably not enamored with, but
Wolof, obviously. Is that what he poisoned?
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah. So La Bandita, yep, went with Primetime. And La Bandita was probably one of the top 3 horses at RDF, whether or not the rarity showed up or not. It seemed like the gap rating guys loved it. I saw it. I don't know RDF. We'll have to have a different guest analyst analyze RDF. Maybe you can talk about it when GVG joins. But yeah, S and an S, but the S26 being Primetime gets you 8.5 preferences. You certainly love that, and probably rounded up on right as well to boot. So, and gets the S plus. So gotta love that. So then the other S26 on the Philly side went with Wasatch. So we talked about that. Had a good outcome earlier in the stream, and this one is probably quite the disappointing outcome, I guess I would say. You still get a Philly, I guess. Decent preferences, but not even as good as preferences as the last one, and did not tick up to the S plus. Maya, which was a unique RTF piece, so I'm always curious how he's going to do this one. Ooh, Jupiter putting out bad publicity there, not getting the S plus for him. So obviously the S minus stamina is intriguing there, but I guess for my own branding, I would have loved to see this go up to an S plus, but it is what it is. Which is probably right. Because he actually probably maybe did better on preferences than he should have. Firm was what it was supposed to be. Turf was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, so was right.
Right was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I wanted to look through this one because I know this is a good S minus. Oh, he took the cheap play and went Born to Run. Yeah. So that's probably a very strong S- racer, I would think. But he gets a colt, which he definitely wouldn't have wanted as often as Born to Run has been used. So this is another one when we've talked about the breeding debate of what's cheap and what's quality and those types of things is when I look at a mare like Lollipop, I would look at it as I've got 23 bullets in the chamber. So do I want to use one bullet with something because it's cheap, or do I want to use one bullet with something because it's good? Now, obviously, Born to Run is very good out of Secretariat Stable, Mr. B. But like I'm saying, this is one of your bullets that you fired. You know you went with something that's been used a ton, and you got a colt. So that's probably dare I say massive whiff for Wolof the Bandito, at least in results. Process is probably fine. Everybody's favorite Brad, who might be streaming against us right now. I'm not sure if that came to fruition or not, but either way,
I think he was gonna stream at some point.
We'll give his stable the shout out it deserves. I didn't even pull up RVA Racing. I'll have to do that. See what we got here. AK-47 was an S-. Gets an S this time. I think it was Mundo or Walter White. I do want to see that one. Buffy was an S- as well, right? You know these sources better than I do.
Yeah, both those were max S-. Buffy's the best RTS filly in the game that's not unique at S-. And same with AK-47 tied with Diana. Yeah, so I think they both went to Mundo from memory. They both are like, the good thing with AK-47, it stayed firm and a filly. But yeah, I think that was Mundo this month. It was Walter White. Yeah, it was Walter White the first month, Mundo the second. So he's now hit both of the 101 Colts at RTS with a max boost RTS and kept a half-star firm, I think, both times.
I mean, he's got to be disappointed in this one, though. If you look, a 1.5 soft with 3 firm, you would hope for a 1.5 firm, honestly. He gets the filly, which is nice consolation. He gets the S, which is a nice consolation as well. But
do you have a breeding report with Diana that can get pulled? I mean, she's basically the same, I guess. I didn't know
with Mundo.
What that range would look like. I did a bunch of them last night late, and it's real funky with as soon as you're crossing preferences. I feel like they can still always just keep the lower one. Like I don't ever see it where it's like guaranteed to stay firm, even if you're going like a 3 to a 1 or something like that. But yeah, if you had. Look at you being an advanced streamer with your balance turned off. I just remember when YSN did this last month. They just had all their stuff down.
It might be too old. I thought I would have. Maybe I didn't even bother to run it. That's embarrassing. I could show you the GOAT one, I guess, but no one needs to see that.
I guess you could go run it, but yeah. Either way, but yeah, I'd be surprised. I'd be curious to see. That's a interesting.
Ooh, I like this one. I like this one. Another one though that he's getting crushed on that transition though. 3 stars with a 1.5. The most likely outcome should have been 1.5, and he's losing a full star each time he's doing it. But I think Cochise is an interesting piece for sure.
So Brad has been very about dude's got good pieces. Like there's no way around. Like he's got a lot of unique stuff, and he's playing. He's gonna play the longer game. He's been pretty vocal about that, and he now has a few very unique colts that nobody else has at firm. It's only a half-star, but that's a piece that anyone can hit because you won't have that blood anywhere. So I think it'll probably pay off for him. It's just going to be a later payday than if he made some stuff more affordable up front.
I've noticed with these, I've noticed with some of these that you're crossing preferences, it seems to really hit the low end of
they're just getting crushed. Yep. Yeah. I was just going to ask, have we seen one that is not?
Yeah, so it looks like
on the average.
Yeah, it looks like the reading report allows for it to be like way higher, but it seems like it almost is just like you're resetting. Like basically you're going to get a 0 or a half, maybe a 1. I do have, spoiler alert, I did 1 in my barn, and I was able to stay 2 soft. So that was I was actually really happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another
I think we did a few in YSM, you know, going bringing LDF to LDS, and they were all on the lower side.
Another super strong advertisement for Jupiter, taking 3-star and 2-star right and getting a 2-star right, and then losing the half-star on firm. So come breed with Jupiter, guys. Seems great. Slightly disappointing for my ownership of that, but it'll still get used plenty internally, if not externally. But I didn't use it at all myself, so I can't defend it this month if I wanted to. Eddie, hope to hear him more vocally in the near future, but currently under management by Monkey Tennis from Wimbledon Turf. He gets another S+. Of course, he's going to. This is going to be another Morningwood breed. The Malachite purchase, that was an A+, I think. I stared at that for like 2 weeks thinking I should buy it, and then Monkey Tennis pulled the trigger for him. I think it must have been an A+, so he's probably happy with that result, but we'll look at the breed itself. K2, he's probably not thrilled with, because that is one of the few LTS fillies that is pretty strong rarity. So he's probably hoping for more there. And then he gets another colt at LTS as well. So ultimately, not as great as I would have hoped for Eddie. But yeah, he probably just runs this back 20 times.
Morningwood's been super strong. That was the one I was debating on. It was kind of Rosa Zion or Morningwood, and I went with Zion just because it was the newer, kind of shinier, rare piece. But Morningwood probably put out the most S+ so far, I think. Maybe Prime Time, I don't know, but he's definitely done very well in the stud barn. Just
curious of what its distance profile would be, because obviously it's basically S straight across the ticket, and again an S temper. So if you're inclined to agree with me that temper seems to be indicative of breeding success, I know not everybody does, but then it looks like distance preference probably, and some racing data is pretty sloppy towards the end of it, but Eddie was probably racing more earlier than late. So maybe it is an 8 furlong horse, so that if you stick a 10 furlong horse with it, maybe you're getting close to Derby distance. So that's a super nice piece. I've talked to him about using it myself this next month. Another good advertisement for it with an S and an A+ resulting in an S, and keeping pretty solid preferences, all things considered, because the A+ doesn't have a ton of preferences to begin with either. So he'll like that one, but I think the LTS pieces probably weren't as great as he would have wanted. What's the Opus 1? Why am I not seeing that?
Because it's an A+.
What? Oh my goodness. I have to add it to my filter. Holy smokes. This has got to be the most surprising breed of the season. Wowzers. And it's a colt, too.
It's a colt, so it's just basically a dead piece. I mean, it can maybe race fine. I probably have fucking killer A+ restricted races, he'll probably clean up.
No, that's fucking bro. 2 S minuses.
That's crazy.
And this was the most expensive horse ever sold, I believe, is still to this day. I know some of the one-of-ones are the S+ were more expensive to make, but for buying a made ticket, I think this was the most expensive.
Where did Opus go last season?
They ran it back. So it got an S- last season. So even you would argue if you run this twice, one should have been an S and one should have been an S-, but to get an A+ is, oh man, I have no right to bitch later in the stream.
I mean,
there's
no A in either of those tickets. There's not even an A+ in either ticket. It's pretty wild.
Pretty definitively can say this is the worst outcome in 2 breeding windows of any horse on any stable.
It'd be hard pressed for anyone to beat that. That sucks.
Sorry, Eddie. I thought you were gonna maybe be happy with some stuff.
I said just as he was turning the corner, I'm being happy.
Yeah, that's a gut punch for sure. I mean, we are seeing more varied outcomes with horses that had matches. The one-of-ones seem to be fairly consistent in retrospect, but maybe he gets an S next time. I'm sure he's got to run it back. I don't know why you wouldn't, but you definitely don't love it. We'll go to Monkey Tennis, the operator of Pocono Racing for now. Maybe it's Monkey Tennis's fault that got an A+. He was the one that clicked the breed button, probably. So it's definitely got to be him.
The blame goes on that there.
Monkey Tennis with, I would think on paper at least, maybe the third best Gen Zero with having matching non-one-of-ones, the red backgrounds, Serena Star, as opposed to the green backgrounds that made the S26s. He only gets an S here, which he doesn't love. I can promise you that. And it's a Colt as well.
I think he got cold heavy the first month, and he got cold heavy again this month. So
yeah,
definitely. I mean,
he stays firm, which is decent, but he was supposed to stay firm too.
Right. That's saying, yeah. So Serena's now made two S Colts. They'll only have one of the one-on-ones. They'll have 9925 and then Astro 9922. So I think they'll definitely have, breeding value. Obviously, people will be looking for those. But yeah, he has not been lucky in terms of getting the filly so far. That's a good one.
He gets the 0-star soft. So this is one where he probably did better than the average with that known intent of he wants it to be an RTF piece. So that's as good as you could ask for on preferences for both, because he actually rounds up on the right as well. Gets a filly. That's what he would have wanted there. So, yeah, pretty solid piece, and it's a really nice filly to work with. Unique blood with super low rarity on both sides. So that, if I remember right, that was part of the Morningwood deal.
It was.
Season.
Yeah. He hit Trace Fletches with that piece last month. So he's hit 2 soft horses now with that filly.
All right, let's see if we're adapting or dying in Solonot Stables outcomes here.
He's probably already named his, so you can't go for full.
Yeah, you're right. He's got names on everything basically. Only 3. That's weird that the B+ shows up in my filter, but that's probably a bug. Sours, get on it. Seems like a bug. So he's got an LDF, and this was probably the Astro filly then. We have basically the identical filly to him there. This is the one I think he's probably breeding wrong, but this is a super strong result for him. This would have been Churro with, he's got S- filly. We'll have to look up the name on that. And I want to see this one as well, actually, because this is probably a Churro breed as well. It's got to be Churro and Diva, and only gets an S. That's probably a disappointing result. Delta, yeah. So we have, ours is like 6 rarity worse, but otherwise the same exact horse. He goes Spider from Mars, gets an S, gets a filly. Nothing wrong with that result. Nothing spectacular about that result. Paradise, already named. Yeah, Churro and Supima. Yeah, so this is the one. This is a really good LTS piece, and it's twice in a row he's gone to Churro with it. So he's getting reasonable outcomes. He gets an S, which is the average. He's getting preferences to work out, but that's basically what should have happened for left versus right. And he gets an extra star on turf than he otherwise would have got. So it's a decent result, but I would love to see this Supima piece with some of the LTS Colts. He can hit up Mr. B for Serenity Now for 4,000 Derby and probably get a better outcome, in my opinion.
Is Mr. B going to rug us and triple the price next month?
Yeah, no. I would definitely say I'm surprised. Like, the 9924 blood there, like, to bring Churro in to make it go soft or left when they're already at min, and it just seems off.
It's a way to use Churro, I guess, but that's the best I can explain it. Here's one. 60. I think this has to be a disappointing outcome for him, because this was his domination, and V2 was running these two together and getting some crazy foals off of it. The preferences look fine. I'm not doing the average in my head. A little bit of an outkick on turf, maybe. Rounded up on soft, but only getting an S, getting a colt, which is not going to probably be used in the stud barn, maybe internally by him. So not the greatest results for Solonot. So on the adapter die scale, I'll call that a die for the season.
What about Breaking Bad? You got him pulled up?
Oh, no, I can. Yeah, we can go to him before GVG. we started with Secretariat. Yeah, we started at the top of the leaderboard. Just want to be mindful. I've only got a half hour left, so.
Where did Blue go?
Turn down your speed a little bit.
Blue hit Doc, so that's the.
Oh yeah, we got to see that one.
That's a big one.
Be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone in chat, if you see any stable, drop them in there. While I got Stenz, we'll look them up. If not, I'll look them up. Golden State.
We'll go to VJJ first. I don't have my filters on, so I guess I can do fulls at least and clear some of the noise. You'll have to tell me what you want to look at from this season.
Got to filter through 50.
The first one right there is the best one, yeah. So I was between going big A, like I did last month with that S, or better than most, and I did use better than most. Got the S, and it went 7 preferences as a filly, so I think that's pretty strong. The breeding report showed, might be super rare, but it had a chance to go to 9 preferences, which would have been just nutty. But for seven preferences and not using, and still having a 1-on-1 left, getting a filly there, I think is about as good as I could have asked for. Asking for 9 preferences is super greedy, but it would have been cool.
Yeah, no, this is, I mean, I'm a tough grader too, so I can understand the sentiment, but you did better than you probably should have on right, or you won the coin flip at least.
Yeah, I won the coin flip.
You ended up in the middle on the firm piece. This ended up being a really nice buy for you for what you already have and how you can use it. And then, to get an ask in Philly. Yeah,
I wish I could have raced that one. But yeah, getting it right before the last breeding deadline. I've been super happy with the 2 breeds from it so far. The other ones are some S minuses that I took go to 3 notches full. It's an S minus RTS. Just show that one for flipping, that one right there, yeah. So this is one where, so this was Flushing Meadows, who is a half-star firm to a 3-star soft, and I guess 1.5 stars. So you can get a little bit more than the half stars that we've been seeing in zeros. So that I was happy with that being a filly. There's only Scuba fillies at RTS. There's no colts to breed with there. So brought Scuba in, and now I can hit Mundo Walter Whiteblood with those fillies. So I did 2 of those breeds, got fillies for both. Both stayed soft. So that was nice.
Yeah, pretty good outcome there. Blue went with let me get some filters on here quick. Sorry, I should have known to pull this guy up. That's funny. I even included SS minus in my filters that I was running. I did not include A plus, and you get the 1 outcome. We definitely know SS minuses, but the 1 A plus out of Moknowz is pretty disappointing.
And he's got 3 S pluses already.
He got like a million fillies out of nowhere. I think he got more from Luis than we, maybe were made aware of. But
Philip is full of Sherry too. S plus.
That's the one I want to see.
Did we see this one yet?
That's big brains. No, that's a big brain horse.
Okay. So we'll look at it.
So that's a horse they bought from David. While he's pulling this up, that's a horse they brought from David. One of the last pieces he sold. It's a pretty max S minus RDF. No 1-of-1 blood. Hits prime time. Gets F plus and still has no 1-of-1 blood. So that's pretty sick piece.
So that's the ultra rare of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
Rosalita isn't.
That LDF piece is going to be Pellinor, which will be. I think they'll be really happy with that one.
I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
So here, Rosalita you got from Mr. B. Just recently, and that's where I was saying the Scuba and RTS. The only ones there's 2 fillies, Rosalita and then White Lightning and Brad Stable. So that's getting a filly there. It can still hit Walter, which is in house for them. So that's just a sick roll.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Yeah, he actually gets an extra half star in firm that he doesn't deserve, and then holds on dirt, and then basically a coin flip on left.
Yeah.
Then you get the S plus, you get a Philly. That's a pretty useful piece. He honestly, he probably in this case maybe wants a Colt, but just because Pellener wouldn't have an S plus offspring that would have made a Colt yet. But that's nitpicking at best. It's still a super solid piece. And then this is the non-churro, but 1 of 1 that matched. So he bought this from Luis and then put it with Doc, which was one of the later David sale pieces of the day. Unique RDS, the only real unique RDS that made an S. I would say preferences was a rug on this one. He lost
one on
both coin
side.
flips. Yeah. And he gets a Colt, which, God, if you got the preferences, would have been great. If you get 2 right dirt from Doc, then you get 2.5 star soft. Like, that's a really good piece. But
yeah, if that went to
2.5,
Sauer's been shitting his pants for stud covers in a few months.
Especially since a few people told Sauers to take Doc Holliday down to avoid this from actually happening. But maybe dodged a little bit of a bullet, but it's still a really good piece.
I dropped that primetime Colt full in the private chat if you want to pull it up. If not,
can you put it in the Discord so I don't have to zoom through a mirror
right?
On the stream here? Oh, okay.
It should be like the second thing
from the bottom or what? Okay, no, that's. You tell me where it's at, or put it at the bottom. I'll look at GVGs here quick. Selfishly, I like to see all the RTF pieces, so we'll look at that. He would have started with an S- for sure. Artemis is a S-. Cosmo, this would be another Morningwood run back that I think got an S+ last time. What else do we got in here? Khaleesi is another RTF. I just want to know what he went to better than few with this one, right? But JJ, and that's why he stayed in S-.
He did stay. He did go to better than most there.
This must be prime time here, right? Full of royalty. Solid preferences, it almost has to be. Spirit of Ecstasy, 8.5. That'd be another prime time, probably.
Philly and Cole.
This is another one. Did he use 3 this
I think he
window?
Used 4.
I think he got 4 or 5. I feel
4.
like he did a lot. Yeah.
Might have been all.
Yeah, because he used 1 with an S- too that I probably won't be able to find. If I saw the name, maybe I would remember. But we'll start throwing. We got about 5 or 6 to scroll through here, and I'm only at about 23 minutes before I have to drop. So work through these as quick as we can. Artemis with Indian Wells, the second rarest Colt at RTF, but apparently doesn't rug as much as Jupiter does on stuff. So
he
pretty
used Jupiter
solid
with that one last month.
It was either this one or the other one.
I think
the one that he.
I think both hit.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right. Gets a Colt here, which is not what you want, but decent preferences and gets the S to go with it. So average outcome, I'll call it. Cosmo, again, I think this is one that made an S+ last month. We can just double check that. So pretty average result, but he gets a Philly, which he'll like in that sense. But if I go to Progeny, I think there's an S+ here. Oh, no. So he did run the same breed back, but he did not get an S+ last time, and he actually does a little bit better on preferences this month. An extra half on left and an extra half on firm, and he gets the Philly where he got a Colt last time. So a much better outcome than last month, but still not an S+ from a pretty solid starting piece I would have thought he would have. Oh, Zeus. So his own sire went with royalty, gets the roundup on firm, and then the rest is basically what you'd expect. Maybe loses a coin flip on right. This is another horse that we bred, Ask Me Anything. Gave it away basically for free. First to Balthazar, who then traded it to GVG.
Oh, he went to prime time.
Gets a Philly, which I think he'd be fine with. I'm sure he's got a Colt outcome somewhere that we'll get to eventually. Spirit of Ecstasy, pretty good piece. He gets crazy good preference outcomes here. Gets an extra.
Shut those dogs up, dude.
Extra half star on dirt, extra half star on firm, and gets a filly. So that's a real nice outcome. Probably wants an S plus and didn't get one, but it's got to be a really strong S. Star Girl, another one, gets a filly again. Gets decent preferences. Star Girl was, I think, an old Soulmates horse, the rarest RDF filly, I believe. So that's another one where I guess if I had this and I used Primetime, I would, if the rank 1 and rank 13 Fine Filly can't get you an S plus, it seems to be a bit underwhelming, but GVG doesn't complain about anything, so I'm sure he's happy with it.
You say he did 4 breeds with Primetime this cycle, so
yeah,
he's going, yeah, he's doing GVG things, so that's that.
He gets it. Colt out of Supersonic and Morning Wood. This must be the one that got an S plus last season. I think I was just looking at the wrong one. No, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I would be more disappointed if I was GVG. But
I mean, I'm going to find out later. He's going to come up and I'm going to get his live reaction on it. He was excited to discuss these breeds, and if you're sitting here tearing them down, then the second half of this stream is either going to be him hyped for joy and you having egg on your face, or vice versa.
Well, he's always going to be optimistic. Anybody else we want to look through before we get to ours? I got 20 minutes.
No, do yours, because then after you, I'm going to pull Carter up. I'm going to pull some of the other game players up that took advantage of GVG's breed deal that had Gen 0 horses. I'm going to get them to come up and spew a little. And Mo's going to come up in a little bit and spew about breeding. So you can do whatever you want, Stenz. It's your stream, right? I'm just here, bro. My internet just keeps going in and out, so you can do whatever you want.
All right. What do we have here? This is nice. I like this. Not that anybody else cares about an S minus LTS. But, no, Alice is a really good A plus, and it would have went with Blood Moon. So remember when we said Eddie's S minus and prized S minus filly made an A plus? I used that same S minus Colt and got a drastically better outcome.
There was a lot of late Blood Moon breeding, it seems, like the last few days before deadline hit.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about this outcome, actually.
All right.
I need that to kind of close the gap. So we said Kamish has the one really solid A Astro Philly. This is the other one. Goes with first major LD winner, but disappointment ever since, Apollo. And we were talking earlier about the breeding reports we ran on Apollo versus Pelliner Fields. It seemed like Apollo had a better outcome for temper on the breeding reports, and Pelliner Fields had heart, which obviously heart is very valuable. Looks basically like you would expect. No S plus. Get a Colt, which probably don't love, but not the worst outcome. What else do we got here? This stayed firm. That was a late purchase. Everybody was freaking out because Bay Colony was listing stuff too cheap and people were buying it too quick. And then I paid probably the right price for one and used an expensive breed with Walter White and stay firm. Ooh, I think I maybe like this. I'd have to remember what my expectations were of it. It probably should have been an S though, right? JJ, I can complain.
Yeah, I would
here,
say,
right?
yeah, I would probably complain. Hitting Mindo and saying S minus there is tough. Getting a Philly.
And I probably actually, I lose a half star on firm too, from what I would have expected, right? 3 into 1.5. You'd hope for 1.5. S into a top S minus. You'd expect an S. Yeah, I mean it's a Philly, so whatever. It's not going anywhere. But
I'll buy it for like $25K.
Real dollars or Derby?
Derby, please.
We can talk real dollars, maybe.
Yeah.
What did Diana do last season?
Got an S with Jupiter. It was a pretty nice foal last time. So here's GOAT. This is the one when we got that like half-hour sneak peek. So I knew the outcome of this one, but it's the same thing we saw. We started with Secretariat trying to do is take a top RTF filly and go with RTS and try to stay firm. Mr. B got a worse outcome because he got a half star on soft. We both got Colts, so call it a tie game. I guess my hope is that this S plus stamina and S plus stamina keeps my distance preference higher than his, but just a middling outcome. If it was a filly, it'd be a better piece. If it had somehow managed to stay firm, it'd be a better piece, even if it was a colt. But pretty average outcome there. Love that this stays a filly. So this would have been another one we would have done a Walter White. Love that this stays a filly. This is another one we did with Walter White. So anybody that was on the last stream and Mr. B asked, why did I hit Walter White 7 times? What was I trying to accomplish? It was exactly this. I wanted fillies underneath and I wanted stuff to stay firm. So now these were both super solid A pluses to begin with. Diana was a super solid S minus to begin with, and all 3 roll fillies with Walter White. Like that in and of itself is a great outcome.
Did you make a public apology or something for that to happen?
Yeah, I mean, you can get like a 50-50 split, but where you get them matters, especially when you have a ton, or even if you have a small amount. Like if you only have 4 horses, you get 50-50 split. But if you wanted,
what do your inbreds look like?
We'll get there. Don't rush me.
Chill.
What is this? Oh, this is a Walter White, and it got 1 star firm, and it's a
from
filly.
an A plus.
So from an A plus. So this was the last of the 7 breeds that I did. This is a crazy outcome. It's probably not a good ass. I'll be honest. It's not a good
Right.
ass.
But it can hit.
But it's the
Jupiter
perfect
next.
outcome. Yep. And then get rugged by Jupiter like every other horse. So yeah, just a two preference firm versus a 1.5 soft. So it should have been a half star firm. It actually gets the full star.
I would think even the 0 star firm would have been lucky.
And then you go from an A plus and an S to an S, and you get the filly. Yeah, that is the definition about kicking your coverage. 2 more here, Apollo and an A plus. Really nice preferences. Filly, average grade, but really nice preferences. Useful, very useful.
Damn, yeah, you get a lot of fillies. Just what you needed.
We don't have enough horses, so I'm excited about that.
So you started season 1, you bred 37, and then you bought 4 more fillies.
Something like that, yeah.
All
We're
right.
up. It's
Kind
of a gaudy number.
Season 2 with 41 fillies, and you bred all of them.
Yes.
You're a fucking psycho.
God, I love filly too. Good lord.
Yeah.
Every single one of your A pluses got a filly.
The ones that you would count. This one didn't. This is another one we would have ran back with Blood Moon. But again, A plus with an S minus. I at least get an S minus. Eddie's outcome was much worse there. So yeah, the important pieces seem to all be fillies. Where's the only disappointments on the gender? Was GOAT would have been one disappointment. Is that it? Ape would have been a disappointment. So our 2 S fillies, we only have 2 S fillies, both got Colts, so that would be a disappointment. But everything underneath seemed to get a filly.
I mean, Jesus, look at that page.
Really nice.
It's just filly after filly, yeah.
We will take it. Well, I can hang around for 10 more minutes or so, but I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can go to the StreamYard and not go into the mirror mode.
Yeah, that's fine. If thanks. I'm gonna get Mo up here because I know you made side chat about purchasing Mo's roots that he starts. So I want to get a quick 10 minutes of that, and you picking brain, or just discussing it a little bit. SoCal, obviously, thank you for your time as well. You're welcome to stick around if you'd like. If not, we'll get you on another time when racing is actually popping off. First day of racing, I imagine there's going to be some high stakes maidens, so I'll definitely have a stream for that as well, and probably more streams coming after that, just because there's more consistency. But RVA, thank you. You're welcome to pop up and stick around, whatever you want to do. I got GVG.
I need to go get some work done, but I'll probably just listen in the background.
Sounds good. I'm gonna switch cat. All right, so we're switching stage. SoCal's done. RVA's done. Let me get Mo. Sending you the link now. Got Carter and potentially Chicken Knowles. Carter, I'm going to send you the link. All right, perfect. Good stuff. Yeah, Stenz, you don't talk that much. How many words per minute do you think you got in?
It's enough. It's enough. If anybody wants to screen peek our Derby Stimmy, we got a little over $1,000 in USDC for racing basically 3 horses last month. So anybody out there that's new to the game and maybe doesn't understand kind of the economy of how can horses or how can stables run at a loss of Derby, like lifetime, we're down about $2,000 in Derby terms. It doesn't include the Derby stimulus we just got. So I got 1,000 of that back. I probably got close to that the first season. And it doesn't include any of the crown we're getting from racing. So we can afford to be net spenders on breeding. We can be net spenders on buying horses because we're doing fairly well on the racing side. And I don't think it's just us in that case. So,
yeah, I mean, I did pretty good for my one horse. Like, I got about 6.5K for a small stable racing. Plus, I did stake this season. I put 100 USD into staking this season also, and then on top of running one horse, I probably got just under 6,500 Derby.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Fucking nice. You know what I mean? Especially with the marketplace is going to be flooded with some cheapies. Maybe find some deals in there. But yeah, that's dope.
Did you take the screen back or not yet?
I have the screen back now. I was looking. I sent the link out to Mo and to Carter. Carter will be up probably when you're jumping off. Mo, I don't know what he's doing. Might be having some morning vegetables as well. But get your ass in here. I got Stenz for a few more minutes. Any surprises outside of it? Looks like obviously season 1 we saw a lot more S pluses and a lot of downgrades this season.
Yeah, I think it was just a tougher season as a whole. That's not suggesting anything's changed in the breeding, but
real Mr. B was coming on too. Let's go.
Well, he wants to get his jabs in. Yeah, I just saw the chat. 5 A+ fillies, all rolled colts. Ask you anything is how you follow that up. It's a bit of a bummer there, probably.
Mo, do you want to share your screen or do you want me to do it? Probably easier if you do it.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's fine. Let me see here.
Mr. B,
what's going on, gentlemen?
Before I got Stenz for 10 minutes, I brought Mo up. I was going to let Mo go, and then if you want to settle your grievances afterwards, Mr. B, that's all right. I don't know.
No, I don't have anything to add. I figured do a stuff with Stenz talking, and I figured I would jump in. But if Mo's here, Mo can handle it.
I got GVG at 12 too, so you're more than welcome to stick around and ask questions. You're also a larger stable who has a lot of breeding that got done. So
man, I just wanted to pop in for a minute. So I figured too much Stenz would kill your audience, so I figured I would jump in, but Mo can handle it. So I'm gonna leave.
You're welcome back later.
Appreciate you, Mr. V.
All right.
All right, Mo. You share your screen.
All right, here we go.
And then you can explain. So like I said, we talked about it earlier, and we talked about it a little bit today. There's fast breeding, and that's just going for the best to try and create the best. And there's slow breeding, where you're trying to build the roots and a foundation of your own personal breed tree and breed out from there. And Mo is doing the breed tree and stabilizing his roots. And I guess I think you're the perfect person to come up and talk about it. And then Stenz is up here who does literally everything. So he's good to bounce off. But
yeah, you guys have seen the best, so I might as well show you how the common folk live. Over here at Bigfoot Stables. But,
we need to start getting people to ask for stables, because it's not fun to review the top 20 stables every time, because that's
smaller.
Everybody else feel bad.
It's open invite. Like I said, anyone, Lacey, you're welcome to come up. Also, you're always welcome up. But yeah, go ahead.
What's the green symbols for? I love it.
Why can't I sort this by age? Why is it not working? Folds, filters.
You click on one, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how.
Youngest age. All right, well,
you got a lot of fillies here. You're gonna love that.
Yeah, so I think I wound up with 2 fillies and 3 colts this time around. Crandon, that's who I got from Walter White last season. All right, so the Steph's Kiss horse is interesting. This is my LTS match that I got. Got the filly from Sowers, that was Steph's Kiss, and then Weekend Moderator. Now they're both A horses, and looks like they bred up to an A+. I also caught 2.5 on these two. What were the parents? Yeah, so I actually got a nice little boost up on the third preference too. So
solid
actually, I wonder, he got a couple breeds here. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there real quick. I understand, you know, it's an A horse. He's not the greatest looking. Misraised, obviously, from me. But man, this horse has no siblings. So when you guys are done breeding with all the other monsters out there and you run out of, you know, options, remember, Weekend Moderator will be there. And he has no siblings. Looks like most of his siblings did alright, I guess. Most of his prodigy. I like to go through this. Oh, that's a nice little one here from Wabi Sabi. Holy crap. Okay. Yeah, so that's one. That was the one I was looking forward to see what happened. But it is a colt. I know like you guys were saying, you know, obviously not what we're shooting for, but you know, sometimes you get what you get, you don't get upset, right?
Right.
This one's interesting. The Watsana baby is the same breed that I went to last month, which was Balloon Arch. Probably one of my favorite, you know, lower top end horses in the game, whatever you want to call it. And last month, we kind of got screwed. We got 3, 2.5, 2. And this month, we actually got the 3, 2.5, 2.5. So, looks like we got a better roll this time around, and they're both fillies. So, that'll be useful when it comes to cranking out some more babies. But yeah,
so the Swansonite was the same breed last month then? Am I seeing that right?
Same breed, yep. What? Yep, Watsana with Balloon Arch, yep. And I mean, bloodline-wise... So this is what I kind of look at, right? And I think I'm probably wrong short term, but I wonder what's going to happen, you know, when you build these nine-star prep bases, right? And then we finally start to catch up to you guys up in the S- and the S's that, you know, kind of jumped the gun early, but now you're trying to go back down to get preferences, which I don't know how... You know, I don't know. I'm not saying either way is right or wrong. I'm just saying that it's going to be interesting to see what happens when that gap starts to close, you know? And again, I think your barn compared to my barn obviously decimate me, right? But over time, if I can steal some blood here and there and try to work my way up, you know, I mean, who knows? I mean, you might find options coming down to me a half a grade where it pulls up preferences, you know what I'm saying? Because someone like me did the work on the base, right? So, and vice versa, yeah, I can jump up to you guys, you know?
I think the biggest thing to yours, and then I'll probably have to drop, is I think your strategy is viable in going up slow and steady as opposed to jumping up, because you make the good point is your fourth sire normally has to be a meaningful step back if you jumped up immediately. But the other part of it is true as well, in that even if we weren't talking about you having to take a step back with that fourth sire, it seemed like in both of the betas we really stalled out. Like once you kind of got to S+, you can get to S+ pretty consistently, but we weren't making drastic improvements on the horses. So if you go up slow and steady, like, do you meet us at the same spot we stall out at? And then maybe people have to take a step back. So I think it's a warranted approach. And I know some people probably did it with some pretty good success in the betas. So I think it works. It's just a question of, is blood too cheap right now to ignore? And I think that's where we've kind of leaned into, yeah, if we can get these great colts that aren't in our barn for as cheap as we think we can, that's why we're doing it. But I think the slow and steady stuff is great. And it's nice to have that avenue because it's always going to be in the racing schedule as well. So if I have, we have 30 S- foals from this season alone, like I can't race 30 S- horses the way the current schedule is constructed. So it'd been nice to have that variability and have things at every single grade. And I think Mr. B, OEB, Big Brain Stables, those guys are crushing that of, I have something for everything. We do not have something for everything, but appreciate you letting me spew. I talked too long. Love what you're doing, Mo, with the stable. Obviously love your race calls. But I'm going to drop, and I'll probably listen in the background as long as the show keeps going. So see you guys later.
Listen, top of the hour,
awesome. Take it easy, Stenz.
Look at GVG coming on, and got Carter coming on also. But
cool.
Yeah,
it's nice to rub elbows. Yeah, I had a couple horses running today.
Couldn't find any races. Evidently, there's something wrong with the schedule. Won't get into that too much.
There was something wrong with my find recommended races filter. That was messed up last night. I had to actually go into the race screen and do my filters there, like left dirt, and then I wasn't seeing restricted. I wasn't seeing like anything else besides, of course, really expensive races. I'm like, what the hell happened to this schedule? And I went back to the other one. I'm like, oh, there's the 975 allowances, 700 allowances, the restricted, because I mean that's pretty much what I primarily run. So
the claiming races look to be not there, which is kind of a down. I mean, I know they're still fussing with stuff. But I'd like to see like one of these seasons we're gonna have a smooth transition where season ends and everything is perfect. One of these days we're gonna get there, but I understand it not happening right away. But yeah, definitely get some fucking claiming races going here so I can get some. I claimed the horse last week, and there hasn't been a single race for me to get into. So I've been running him in allowance races and getting rugged because he's pulling second best odds and then just shit in the bed. So I want to go back into claiming. So I want to get back in there.
I haven't done the claiming as much as I thought I would, to be honest.
How many did you breed the same? Did you do the same matching as your first season for breeding?
No. The only one I did the same was the Watsana, because I told my boy, because I had 50-50 partnership on this with my boy. We actually won this on a Twitter contest for fantasy football, and my boy was like telling me the lineup. We'll put the lineup in, and he's real good. And I'm like, bro, Christian Watson has to be in this lineup. And he's like, we got to go with Garrett Wilson. We're Jet fans, right? So, but I'm like, bro, you can't go against Christian Watson, right? He had 4 touchdowns this game, won us the damn horse. So I was like, of course we got to name it Watsana. But I was like, man, we got screwed on Balloon Arch, right? So with that breed, so we went back to him. But everybody else is different.
Are you going to go back to
first
Balloon
breed,
Arch
like I said, with my 2.
Go elsewhere.
I got to go elsewhere next time, I think. I think I'm going to try doing a bigger jump. I haven't really gone to an S horse yet. Like I said, I'm just skeptical, man. I'm skeptical, like I said, when that gap starts to close, like that 9-star preference that I build might just have that advantage, and
at a later
I think I'll kind of take that chance.
Now, it's just hard right now because we don't know what we're racing. Like we don't know what we're racing in yet. Like we don't have a dedicated schedule for when these new foals come out. Like where are the S horses going to run? Are they going to be S restricted allowances, or they're going to be, do the S's have to run against the A pluses, A minuses, and get punched in the face on weight tax? Like, so we don't know. So it's hard. So I feel like a lot of people that are like just going straight to the top are just trying to win right now instead of waiting and like seeing what we're running towards and building it out and having that like, all right, I have this for this, I have this for that, and I don't have to worry about my S minus getting taxed. But on deck, I got my good pal Carter, TriStar Racing, I believe it is. On his where he got a coffee shop. Come to reveal his GVG Foal that he had a deal with. What's up, homie? You're muted. Test. No good.
Hey, he's got to be hard muted because it doesn't show him muted on StreamYard.
Yeah, it was when he clicked it. It was on there, but now it's all right. I'll figure it out. I think we went through this last time too. This is what you do things in a coffee shop. This is what happens sometimes. At least he has better internet than I do. I'm sitting in my house. Unbelievable. Let me see if I can find his stable real quick. I'm
at the track. There's raining horses behind me.
I was a Derby stream. I caught a little bit of it. I watched the race. Great call, obviously. How'd it go for you?
It was good. It was a little hectic. Yeah, we kind of just threw that together within like 9 days and just tried to put a production together, with some introduction type stuff and keep it a little more segmented. Yeah, overall, I think the flow went good. I think guests were great. I learned a lot as far as I never really produced it, directed a show and produced a show, so that was kind of crazy. But yeah, so we just kind of threw that together, and then the race call, I'm not gonna lie, probably one of the worst calls I've done, if I'm being honest. I had all 20 horses up on screen to call the race, and one of my hotkeys on my Stream Deck also triggered my window stack on Windows. And the first 10 seconds of the race, I was silent when it loaded to me because I was struggling. I was scrambling on the side, man. But
this shit ain't easy.
you know,
I'm a
it
complete
was fun,
caveman. I figured it out, but I'm still like, I still can't get it down. I don't have sound effects. I don't have an outlier, like, or an outline for my stream, like a border. Like, listen, this shit's hard. So, and also, again, I said it on
well, I've
Friday.
been doing this shit for 30 years.
People might get mad at it because I said it on Friday, whatever. This derby doesn't mean as much to me as the futures will. Like, to me, this is just, I understand we have to do it. I get it. It's going on. But, like, 3-year-olds. The Kentucky Derby is 3-year-olds. In the game, when we get this first crop to 3-year-olds, then it's going to matter. So you have about 3 more seasons to get it right. So you got time. You know what I mean? You'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like I said, for a first show. Yeah. For a first show, I felt pretty good about it. But like I said, more importantly, I think everything else went smoothly. You know what I'm saying? Like, getting people on, having Ian there front and center, and just kind of moving through the segments. I think some of them might have been a little too long, especially at the pre-recorded stuff. So, but other than that, we could even probably extend the show. I mean, that's something I kind of wanted to give feedback on people too. Like, we did a half-hour show. I mean, would an hour show have been too long? I mean, 45 minutes, people were telling me.
I wanted to, I had plans to do Derby Day stream. And then when they announced that y'all were partnering up, I'm like, all right, well, that kind of throws a wrench in it. But, like, I want to do an undercard. I want to do, I want to stream for 4 hours.
That's perfect.
I want to do 4 hours of coverage. So I don't mind,
Somebody needs to do it.
Doing it. Like, I don't mind at, whatever time you guys start your show, putting, hosting you guys on mine and then just switching back over. Like, I feel like there's ways to work around. I just didn't want to do it and be like, why? Like, I don't want to stream against anyone, but also, like, it's hard to find time to stream. And as a streamer, you want to stream everything. So, I don't want it to seem like, he's doing this to take views away. It's never that.
No, listen, we're all in the same boat, right? Yeah. I mean, I personally, I'm with you. If I know that, and again, I know there's going to be times where people are like, oh, I just happen to be live and I didn't know or whatever, and that's, whatever it is, what it is. But, when you get these streams like Third Time Thursday, I mean, if people are going to go up and stream against that for whatever reason, it's like we're just taking viewership, we're splitting viewership, we're just hurting ourselves. The same way if I know you're doing like Foals Day reveal, I usually go live at 10 a.m. and call some races, but I was like, well, screw it. I'd rather just come hang out with the community anyway, because that's what it's all about, right? So,
I mean,
but if you do want to do it,
still get some races.
No. Yeah, that's fine. But just so you know, if you do an undercard show,
at a point,
I will call races.
Yeah, at a certain point, we're gonna get there, and I hope we do. And this was my hope for other game that I streamed. Like, there's gonna be a point where you click on Twitch or whatever, and there's 4, 5, 6 of us going at the same time. Like, that's what we want. Everyone's different. Like, everyone provides different content. So, you know what I mean? You don't have to be stuck like, oh shit, I have to, loyalty is loyalty. I don't fault anyone. Like, if I go live during like a day that you're on and I have 6 viewers, I don't give a fuck. Like, whatever. I'm not here to compete, you know what I mean? I'm just here to, have fun, essentially. Like, this is one of the things that actually gives me joy. So I don't care. Like, if you look at like the Magic the Gathering, tab, there's someone with 16,000 viewers. There's someone with 22 viewers. They don't give a shit. They're having fun. And that's how I'm going to picture it in the future. We got Carter.
I watched a player with 22 before I watched 1,000.
Exactly. Are you good now? Test.
Can you hear me?
Nice.
There we go. Homie? Not much. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good. I have to get your stable.
Can
you give me a horse in your stable so I can find it?
Here you go. I'll send it to you. We don't have anything crazy.
Well, no,
exciting. We did take.
You did with that you got on the GVG. I assume that was a Gen 0 mare, so that was like bred already. So that's mainly the one reason I wanted to have you up.
Yeah. So it was. Hang on one second. Let's go. I got it right here. I don't want to keep you too long in your lunch break. I feel like you and Stenz. Well, Stenz the most. I still have to get an accurate count on how much real work he actually does compared to. I'm in the office all day, every day. So
grinding away. That was meant to be. No fun ever. Right.
So the cool thing here, though, is we went out and got a Gen 0 A- and sent it to Zeus with GVG's offer.
and got all the way up to S minus there.
So this Poison Ivy or Jason Powell?
No, keep going down. Oh, it's because it's listed here. Let me send it to you. Hang on. Thanks, GVG. I mean, we're gonna keep it, but you know, get all excited.
Where's it at? There we go. All right.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a good thing. I mean, I guess it had to roll pretty high. I guess some people have different views on
Failure. The link is broke. I'll just try and search it from Zeus. What was the mother's name?
Rhaenyra's Revenge.
Or did the foal have a name?
No, it's not named.
All right. So what was the mare again? Sorry.
I sent you a message on Discord. If you just want to pull it up through that.
All right, there it is. All right. Yeah, because the first link didn't work so much, but all right. Here we go.
Yeah, so A minus all the way up to S minus Philly. I mean, that's about as good as you can hope for, right? That's
I mean, my S minus with Zeus this month produced an S minus, so that's a pretty fucking nice roll, honestly. Damn.
Yeah, so that was the only one through GVG we had. We actually got a LTS Philly right before he did that deal, and so none of the pieces really matched up this time. We went out on the open market to find something to breed with that one. We got I can drop you the link for this one too.
Is it Harry Trotter?
Yeah,
I got it right here.
Okay.
So this is the newest foal. So you went with Blood Moon too. All right. Yeah, there was a decent amount of like rushing. Not really rushing, but like I saw multiple people over the weekend like hitting Blood Moon. So
yeah, no 1-1 there. So obviously we would hope for a Philly rolling up to S minus from A, but I mean that still feels pretty good. I think. Went 2.5 across the board. I think.
Yeah, matched everything.
Looks like.
Did the same.
So yeah, feel good about that too. I guess.
That's not terrible. That's not bad. Yeah, that's you moved up.
And I mean, and one of them was free from GVG. Thank you, GVG. So
free.
It's hard to beat that, right?
Free is great. You cannot lose on that one.
No doubt.
That's dope. How you been enjoying the game?
It's been good, man. I've enjoyed the claimers a lot. I think that's honestly where everybody should start. Just look at them as soon as they pop. Take 2 minutes to look through each one. I mean, most of the time you're not going to find anything, but sometimes you will. We had.
Is it weird not running in straight lines anymore?
Kinda. No, but I've been enjoying it. It's been fun. Obviously, we like to race more. Wish there were some more options. It sounds like there will be some out there, but yeah, so far so good.
Good shit. I mean, in a month we'll have these foals will be able to hit the track, and then like I said, after we get the first crop on the track, it's rolling from there. Every season we're going. So.
Yep. Exactly.
But it's also nice to see like some old faces. I know Chicken Knowles. I talked to him about coming up today.
Yeah, so he owns a third of this.
So you guys all split. So you all three have your own stables, but split everything. You don't have to get into the numbers. That's not my business. But
no, you're good. This is split 3 ways. This, and then Knowles has his own stable. I don't have anything else right now.
Right.
I'll probably spend something out in the future, but just kind of wait until there's more stuff out there.
100%. That's dope. That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's that's a good start for a starter stable. You guys.
Yeah,
you haven't been here that long, so.
No, I mean we've been like a month maybe. We got those 2 gen mares, raced them all season, retired them, got Derby kickback today, which was nice. Bred those 2, picked up 2 horses and claimers, one for 15, one for 20, and then have 2 flipped a couple in between there. And then have 2 that'll be ready in a month, and then these 2 that we just got today, one of them being free for GVG. So
yeah, that's not
it's been pretty active.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. But yeah, man. Thanks for. I mean, you can stay a little bit longer. I don't know how long your break is or what you plan on doing, but we're just gonna shoot the shit now for the next like 15, 20 minutes until GVG comes up, and then he's gonna go over his stable. But,
Yep. I'm gonna hop off, but I'll listen.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, it was good meeting you, Carter. Hey, brother.
Yeah, man. Take it easy.
Let me see if I can enter some races. Let's see if there's anything going off. Actually.
Yeah, we're gonna give the people a race call or what?
We're giving this. I'm not giving four. Listen, man. One thing about me, I know you like calling races. I cannot stand the 4-horse races, so it's hard for me to like. You know what? Fuck it. You're here. We'll just walk. It's also 12 furlongs. Like. You want to call
I
it?
get it. The 4 horses are brutal.
You want to call it? I'll put it up if you want to call it, and then I can run and get a drink.
Sure. Why not?
All right. I can't stand the 4-horse fields. I don't like it. It's not
just so you can get a drink, not
just
not
so
for any other reason.
Because the next race doesn't pop off for 50 minutes, so maybe we can get a couple little sprinkles, some spumonies around. Have some fun. Since we all got fat paychecks today, how was your paycheck?
Yeesh. I was like, what the hell just happened to my account? Did I leave a horse up for sale or something and forget? Because man, that was nice. I was like, I race a lot. I mean, I guess, but holy shit, that definitely blew my mind compared to what my crown stimmy was. That wasn't anything crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even look at the difference. I said to Stenz last season. Shit, my bad. Let me get this race.
That's all good.
I said to Stenz, I said, I only have the one horse, and let me use full screen. I said I only have the one horse, and then I decided to stake $100, and I ended up getting about $6,500 after payout. With racing one horse and then just having stake. So that's
damn. Okay.
We got some liquid now. We got some liquid.
Yeah. Every day I wake up, man, I still can't believe this is actually happening. And you probably know, coming from other projects, I'll let you grab your drink. But man, this just feels like it's everything is opposite of what I've ever dealt with on other games, projects, platforms. So it just still feels too good to be true when days like today happen. That's all I'll say.
Absolutely. All right.
All right, cool.
You take it away. I'm gonna get a drink.
Sweet. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we gotta join this race in progress. For those of you watching Foals Day here on Doughboy Gaming stream, Doughboy something here on Twitch with some numbers, but it's the Dangamong Range claiming race. 4 entrants, double scoop, turn here, Sub-Zero, Cash Aurelius Johns. These 4 warriors, one job here today, win the race, and also potentially be claimed here if the owner is lucky. As we cross the wire for the first time, half mile and 52 and change, it's double scoop who shows the way. Break of 4, there comes Sub-Zero tucked in tight, up turn here, and trailer all the way back here, and I'm not used to watching a StreamYard stream here. It's a little smaller and on the other monitor, but it's Cash Aurelius Johns with about 8 lengths to make up here. Around the turn, 12 furlongs, heading right on the dirt. Track is soft and racing is good. Double scoop up top. Turn here now, starts to advance on the outside. Sub-Zero drops back into third. No change for Cash Aurelius Johns. Still has about a country mile to make up. 3/4 of 118. Down the backstretch we go. Double scoop. Still up top here, about 3 lengths over turn here. Sub-Zero tries to find some room down at the rail. And Cash Aurelius Jones, surprise, surprise, still dead last. Might have been distracted by butterflies. Maybe it's Maybelline, who knows? But it's 1 mile out here in the soft rain. 145. Turn here now as your new leader is Double Scoop. Might have called it a day. Turn here up top. Sub-Zero now tries to battle on for second. Double Scoop looks to engage yet again down the inside with Cash Aurelius Johns. Let's just call him out of it. Turn here. Double Scoop, Sub-Zero, these 3 are neck and neck and neck. Mono is Swan is Swan. Turn here, though, has the best of it. Now engaged, it's Double Scoop, yoinks back the lead. And now it's Double Scoop up top. We're only a half length, though. It's Turn here and Sub-Zero are not done yet. And it's Sub-Zero freezes through the center of both of them. And it's Sub-Zero now up top who pokes a nose in front and battles it on with Turn here as they pass the 8th pole. It might be all she wrote for Double Scoop, but up top it's Sub-Zero and Turn here with one final surge. On the bob, on the wire, who's going to take it? It's going to be Turn here with actually an amazing 4-horse race. If you take the 4th horse out of it, 3-1-4 order finish.
That was good shit.
Actually,
that was a nice race for being 12 furlongs, but still.
Yeah, it's always fun trying to fill that time in
I
between.
wonder if I claimed. What was it? 15,000, 20,000. No one's probably like Sub-Zero was running in like the 10-15 area, I think, for a little bit. Cause I always thought, I'm like, if I ever see an S- in for 10, like it's worth a coin flip to try and like for a little bit. Like last season, like you could have farmed up until now and then just dropped it back in. But yeah, Sub-Zero won back-to-back 20Ks, second and 10. So dropped in for 10 once. That was the time to get it, and I think it got claimed. Pretty sure it did. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're gonna have to find, right? Like we're gonna find that sweet spot of the dropping in and dropping out of claiming prices.
I saw a bunch of them. Unfortunately, the thing I don't like is that you can see in the ledger if there's any claims on the horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, it sucks because when you see that, when you see Sub-Zero in for 10K, maybe no one else is at the computer. Maybe no one else is at the computer at the time. And you put it in, but someone comes along, oh, look, now it's, S- in for 10K and everyone's dropping claims. But, like, the fact that it's public knowledge is, I don't like it. But
yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I think I
know they mentioned
posted that day one of turning that off.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a suggestion thing, so hopefully they hide it. That would be nice. But until then, there's a little tip. Just look into the ledger of every horse, and if there's claims in it, maybe it's a good claim. But yeah, it just sucks because then it brings people's odds down too, like odds of like winning the claim. Yeah, it's just not good. It's just not good. I don't like it.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, the next race up is at 12:48 and it's a 5K claimer, or 15K. No, 75K. I'm looking at the wrong numbers here. Get my shit together here. 75 and an A+ only. Wow. But no one's, I mean, I don't think anyone's claimed anything 75. I know last week we had one for 60. Roo Stables from the other game came in and scooped it up. They've also made a splash. I think he had some deal. He took advantage of the GVG deal as well. But I'm gonna have to reach out and see if they want to come hang out one day.
Yeah, it was a hell of a deal, the GVG stuff, and everybody else kind of jumping on board. I'm not really in a position, even with my syndicates, to really offer free rebates to people. So those that can,
a lot of people when they see that, like they feel like when with the other game, like we did so many when we were streaming, we did so many giveaways. Holy shit, we gave away so many fucking horses, but it was easier then because they didn't, you could do whatever you want every month. You got so many breeds. So like, but with this, it's hard. So I feel like people, when they see that, they feel obligated to try and help. Like you help by boosting it. That's how you help. You know what I mean? Retweet it, like it, tell other people about it, get other names out there. Like that's how you help. If you don't have like the stock to be in that position to, do giveaways. Like later on, a few months from now, we'll be giving away horses on stream, I'm sure. At that point, but
oh hell yeah,
it's tough now. Fucking Kevin, what happened, Danny? As I was talking about the other day. Let's see, is he in this race? Fucking Kevin. Kevin was a horse that was in for 10K. No, he's not in right now. And Danny's from the other game. He dropped a claim on it, and then 5 other people dropped a claim on it. So he got out shook.
Oh, I saw that in Discord.
Yep. Get his first one, but like that's a value. He messaged me. He's like, "What horse do I take out of this race?" And we both. I mean, he knew what the right answer was, but
right.
The A+ is probably the one that's worth a drop on. And ended up, I think, finishing second in the race. But I haven't seen where it ran back yet. I wish you could search individual horses. Ooh, good guy Stenz.
Well, you can.
Can we? Because I want to look it up. I want to see if
I use the Gap tool, basically. I just pull the link right off the Gap tool.
I need to get, I don't use any of the tools yet.
Yeah, when my Chrome opens, it's Gap tool, MJ's tool, photo finish site. I'd have Stenz on there as as a contact, but speaking of Devil, he's back.
Yeah, probably. What's MJ's site?
MJ's site is MJ Informatics. I can DM it to you if you want.
The link in the private chat.
Yeah, I'll put it in the private chat. Sorry.
What's up, Stenz? What'd you hear? What are your ears burning?
I was just very productive. I got done with an hour call in like 15 minutes, and now I'm back.
I say this earlier. How much actual work do you do in a given day, and how much actual PFL time is in your given work day?
My phone told me I used my phone 3 hours less this week than last week, so last week must have been a big week. But It depends. There's some seasonal stuff. Like for the next 2 weeks here, I actually have to get some real work done. But I've dropped my links to the 2 inbreds we intentionally did this season in the Twitch chat. We've got one that was the S- with an A that made an A+. That's perfectly reasonable expectations. Preferences look fine. And then the other one was an S- with an A+ that made an A+. Again, probably totally fine expectation. Maybe you wanted an S- there, but it didn't seem like either of these get kicked down a subgrade at all, and preferences look to be about what you would have expected. So we've got 3 intentional inbreed samples across the first 2 seasons, and nothing looks too terrible on the surface. It's something we think is a compounding effect, and it gets worse over the 4 sire breeding window, but we'll see. We can afford to rock and roll with 3 of them.
I said, do you want your screen back to put them up?
I don't know. I don't know if I need to, but I can now be more responsive to chat. So if there's questions in chat, or if there's things the chat wants us to look up, I've got it on my screen finally, as opposed to flying blind on our production. So
listen, what we do here, all right? It's no big deal. It's like no big deal at all.
I will shout out. It's probably not come up, and it's a stable we would have missed. Golden Boot Stables is Nate LFC. He was in the other game. Good guy here, fellow Minnesotan. It's 2 times in a row that his mare Bell has got an S+. He bred with D Biscuit this time out at D Stables, which isn't an overly rare piece, honestly. And then just crushed A+ or S+ with solid preferences as well. So
give me a second. I'll look at this fucking horse.
I'll drop it in private chat here.
For 26, Kevin got put in for 10K, and there was 6 claims on it. Goliath Racing won it. Let's see what they've done since then. So 26, 10K, dog shit in 30, came back and won a 15, 30, and a 60. So yeah, that's a claimer. I mean, you could probably win the 20s and 25s. Depending on how is this field in the 60. Bunch of A+. Yeah, I mean, you might even win up to 30, up to the 30K mark. But the one thing I'm looking forward to, it's good we're getting all these. I mean, it's good and it's not good because horses are 5 years old now, so we have 3 more seasons of racing on them. So maybe we get a chance at running the starter allowances and starter handicaps that they've been teasing at. But who knows?
Hopefully they're starter entry fees too. But
they did mention they're going up.
Actually, I don't know how much lower I really want them to go. That's why those claiming prices, I was glad they came up. I know some people were even shocked to hear me say that, but seeing those claiming prices come up a little bit, because we don't want to devalue the whole freaking platform at that point, No. And I also feel like, and I'm curious to see what you guys think, I think the claiming races are in a really volatile state right now because depending on how many changes the team makes to the pricing of them and the community makes with the pricing of the horses and who's dropping who and where, I mean, shit could get really ugly really quick. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, people would be like, how low can I go? And they start looking and I bought a horse and he ran 20K a week ago, but they don't realize that prices change and they're not paying attention to the, whatever. And now they just, they're getting rugged on value of the horse. So I think they, everybody kind of needs to be careful of, the prices that are being set on that.
Stenz, what am I looking at here? Bell?
Just Bell in the progeny tab. So it's on paper it doesn't look like a crazy ass, but 2 straight back-to-back S+s and only bred with S's. So it's not like it bred with prime time in either window. It's not like it bred with an S+ colt in either window. And it's 2 for 2 on S+s. So
you think the
that
SS
seems to be
has anything to do with that? Give it an extra boost?
I don't think so, honestly. It was competent in one of the RD majors early on, and that I would have chalked up to heart, but it just seems to be a really solid breeding piece. And I think if memory serves in V2, it definitely consistently outkicked its breeding coverage as well. So kind of a fun horse.
I'm not gonna lie, this if I look at this before the reveal, I would assume you'd get an S+.
Yeah, I mean,
on paper, like this math just screams S+. Maybe I'm just an idiot.
But just with the context of we've gone through 2 betas, and it seems like maybe you actually take the smallest step back before you start taking steps forward. Because when you think about it on paper, like an S26 is in theory 1 boost away from being an S plus. So if you breed anything with that isn't that good, the chances of you getting an S plus, if you're doing an averaging game, would be you'll probably take a step down. If you take an S20 and an S26, you'd probably get an S23. Now I get that's an oversimplification of it, but it seems like we took a small step back right at the start of all of the breeding stuff that you did. And then once you started breeding strengths into strengths, preferences into preferences, then you finally started moving forward. So I'm not super surprised if you told me what we had for S pluses across the 2 breeding windows, I would say that number is totally logical. I guess it was a bit of a surprise we had so many in the first season, 20 it was, and what we got this season was a much smaller number. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, I think breeding so far has played out mostly as expected. I think we're seeing a few of these where the other one I dropped in the private chat is an S minus going to prime time and making an S plus. Like, I don't think we saw that very often in V1 or V2. That's a pretty solid outkick of the coverage in that case. So nice paid advertisement for prime time there to help an S minus do an S plus. Right. I mean, and it's a really good S minus, right? Like that's 8.5 prefs S minus, so that's got to be one of the top ones in the game at any archetype. So it's not surprising. I think what we're seeing is these heavily matched horses have so much variance to the downside and to the upside. So we saw the Eddie one earlier where it was 2 S minuses. Basically, one was an S minus 26 mare and the S 24.5 colt, S minus 24.5 colt, and it made an A plus. So that's a massive downside kick. And then this would be a massive upside kick. But I think you can look to, I don't want to say it's the matches, but I want to say maybe the non-one of one blood that has more variability to it, maybe.
Yeah, that's a hell of a freaking horse.
And it's probably like, it looks, because it's got 8.5 preferences and it's S plus. So everything about Gen 0 would tell you like that's a monster horse. And it was a great roll. But I would have to guess it's got to be fairly low in the spectrum of S pluses goes. But I mean, it's still an awesome piece. He even gets a filly to go with it. So,
well, that's what I'm saying, right? So if you took this filly, yeah. So I mean, if you took this filly and even came back, and again, going 2 ways with it, you go with an S and then try to again maybe boost up if that's a low tier S plus. Maybe you can just kind of pull something up, you know what I mean, and still maintain that S plus. I don't know. Again, I don't really know how it all pulls the genetics together. I kind of understand how it works, but we haven't seen the results yet. So because you can't really go up from here. There's no SS minus yet, right? So
right.
Not yet.
You can go across the board to an S plus.
The main thing is like where this horse is like, come 2-year-old season, it's either going to only run in stake races because you're not like, where's this horse going to run? That's the thing. With all these S pluses, it's like there has to be S plus restricted races, but they're also like, how many S pluses do we have where we can support that yet? But my fear is like, where does this horse run? That's the problem.
Well, it'll run in graded stakes. It should be competitive. I don't know if it's the best RDF asset we have. There's probably other S pluses that I would make strong favorites over this horse, but you got to go up and you got to start from somewhere. So I mean, there's nothing anybody can do about that.
That's what I'm hoping we get addressed. So that isn't just the answer. Like there's got to be somewhere. Like obviously in S plus you would assume it's supposed to run in stake races and stakes only. But there's a world it's dog shit, not dog shit, but like there's a world that just can't compete with those types of horses, and they have to run in the smaller stakes. But what kind of smaller stakes are we going to have at that point is the big thing. I'm sure at some point we'll have S plus restricted races, assuming they keep restrictions around, which I hope they do. But there's just so many other ways to go with it. Like if they do the high end allowance optional claimers, like I feel like the higher end claiming tags will end up being S and S plus horses, but the claiming tag is going to be absurd.
or workable, one of the two. But yeah, we had a lot of time for that. And like I said, a month ago we said they have 2 months to figure it out. Now they have a month to figure it out. So I'm hoping it's on the table. You got another one. Let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through other stables we missed earlier. Shout out to Grape Syndicate. Love that we're getting syndicates involved. It's your money goes further when you work together, and you can have more fun and care less about your individual results. But they certainly love this result. One, because they own both of those, stud and mare, and they get an S plus. So I would assume they'll run this back. I guess the one thing I would check to see is what did Scuba Stephanie do last season, and maybe you're actually ahead of me. Oh, they got S pluses 2 months in a row.
Yeah, 2 S pluses. So like, when do you stop?
You don't.
Yeah,
I don't think you do. They got a colt one season and a filly the other, but the same breed gets an S plus both times. Yeah, I think.
So this is obviously what we were. I assume Spider is a. I'm assuming both of these horses are distance because Scuba Stephanie, all Scoobs are distance runners, and Spider from Mars is. What is Spider from Mars? Spider from Mars is Astro.
No, it's a Ziggy. So you would think it would actually be a sprinter. So these probably, if my base assumption is that distance preference kind of merges the same way and you don't have just a random roll makes the random distance preference. So if you were to do like an averaging impact of distance preference, this probably takes a good sprinter and a good distance horse and maybe ends up being a good mid-distance horse. But it's really tough. You can't really build strengths into strengths on the stamina side for LDF because only Scuba gets you there right now. And you can't breed Scuba and Scuba together unless you're crazy like me. But Spider from Mars doesn't have the S plus start. So a lot of the Ziggy S pieces had S plus start, S plus speed, S plus heart. We saw that with Rose of Zion. We saw it with Scott Street had the same thing. So the stats for Spider from Mars, the racing stats actually in theory appear to be a little bit lower, but you definitely can't hate on the outcome of the breeding result. So
yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I guess like you just you strike gold, you don't leave that spot until you don't find gold. You know what I mean? So I guess that's an every month play.
I would run it back. It probably cost him $30 to breed that horse. Maybe it's probably less than that.
That's fucking gross.
I mean, keep in mind. So like, if there's new people in the chat, because that used to really bother me in the other game. You got all these stables that are breeding Z1 with Z1, and they're getting whatever it costs them to do that. But you have to keep in mind the cost basis of the assets themselves. So yes, they made this foal for $30 or whatever it was, but they also had to buy Spider from Mars, and they also had to buy Scuba Stephanie, and Scuba Stephanie can only make 23 foals ever, and Spider from Mars can only breed for 23 seasons. Oh my God, Mr. B throwing shade in the chat. So yeah, the TLDR on that is yes, our internal cost to make these foals is cheap, but our cost basis is not cheap.
Fair.
Yeah, good point. One more thing about the syndicates real quick. You mentioned the Stenz. My favorite part of running them is that I do all the work. And a lot of times I don't even collect racing fees because, as long as one of my horses are profitable for the day, we all kind of eat, But they don't ask me shit about the kickback I got this morning. So I do all this stuff, you know what I mean? And then today I'm like, oh, I just made a shit ton of money for basically just, maintaining a bunch of syndicates for people, and they're having fun and I'm having a blast, So as for me, that's a bonus. So if you got friends, just don't tell them about the monthly kickback and they'll still be having a great time. So
it seems you negotiated a better deal than I did then, because that's very much part of our conversation piece on a monthly basis.
At this point, Stenz, do you even need the other two?
What other two?
Like the people in your syndicate, I mean. Do you even need them?
Oh. Well, so I think most people are aware that Kevin
I'm just trying to get you. I'm just trying to say, nah, fuck him, I don't need him. I know you won't. You're a good guy, Stenz. You would never.
He gave me a good opportunity. My own cost basis in the game is very low, and my equity in our stable is very high, and that was only possible by me doing the work. So my equity was sweat equity, and it was making trades and accumulating good deals, and that is valuable for both me and for the other investors in our stable. So it's really, 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 really worked out. Now, could I convince him to come on stream and talk about our stable? Probably not. And I would like to be able to, but yeah, you got to convince him sometime, I guess.
One day I'll get him.
Problem is he probably wouldn't know a ton about it. I give them like a 1 month monthly update and then maybe a rare mid-month update, but it's not very much. So
are things going good? Yes or no? Yes. All right. Thanks. See you next month.
Did we make money? Yes.
Yeah.
Do you need money from us? No. Yeah.
All right,
well, that's how the difference, I guess, right? So your sounds more like an actual business with two other people, as opposed to me, where I'm hanging out with degenerate buddies and gamblers who are like, oh, that looks cool, I'm kind of involved, but then they just never make an account, never watch the races. I said, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a little bit different, I guess. And that's why they really don't care about, I guess, me getting paid at the end of the month, because they don't really care. They just kind of watch a race here and there, and not really a business to them. But I like your idea better. Probably sounds like it's a better way to go.
God damn, there's no races to run at all. Ah, there's the 15K. In 3 days. Fuck! Come on! Come on!
Be a rough 30 days, man.
I know. Yeah, that's what. And then my next thing was, Stenz, you don't stake, do you?
No, we don't. I do think Crown is, again, not financial advice, but I think Crown is interesting where we're at now. And I'll admit that I was wrong and that I thought it was going to go lower. But if you look at the dynamics of what's going to change with Crown, and I'm just pulling it up. I see we're down 6% day over day, but Crown was going to go down because there was people that were essentially farming, and that was how they paid for their racing, which also resulted in them getting a Derby stimulus. So the team put out an announcement with plenty of a notice before we went into the next season. Like they got way in front of it and gave us all this critical information. So we had weeks to prepare for it, and said that what was once 100% going back into racing is now instead going to be, is it 40% goes into racing or 60%? I don't even remember what the breakout is. So that's going to change the racing dynamics, because the people that were racing purely for Crown and Derby stimulus, but Derby stimulus was part of their calculus, are going to race less. So that means the people that are left racing, even if they are farming, had equitable outcomes. They expected to win Derby and or Crown without relying on the Derby stimulus, so they can keep operating in that sense. So the people that were selling Crown daily probably accumulate less Crown, sell less Crown. So the only real price action I could see on Crown going down would be that if we think racing volume's lower, then we think staking at a track's yield for this season would also be lower. But I just don't really see people dumping from that. So in our stable, and the reason we don't stake is we have so many synergies built in on the horse side and the breeding side that every dollar we would put towards Crown is taking $1 away from using those synergies to the best of our ability. And that's why we won't. But I think it's interesting now, because I just think people are going to sell less of it.
So for me, like last season, I ended up staking a little bit, like 100 USD, and we talked about it. And I thought it was a gamble to stake, because, like you said, we all thought that it was going to drop until crop one hit the track. It actually didn't drop, so like I ended up coming out real big because I staked when it was like 0.035 or something, and obviously I think it's higher than that now. But so I came out great on both ends. Pardon this fucking noise. Jesus Christ, hold on. Well, that doesn't make it any better. Whatever, I don't care. I gotta switch the topics. But now, do you think, because you don't stake and you really have no skin in the game of it, do you think it's worth to stake this month, or basically sell, hope it drops lower, buy, and then restake at the start of next month? Do we assume that this month is going to be so much lower?
I think the yield is going to be a lot lower. I just don't know that the price is going to be a lot lower. So, I mean, if you want to try to time the market, more power to you. But I guess I would look at it from the standpoint of, could there potentially be better external factors that impact the price action for Crown? Could a partnership be announced or something like that? And then you got cute and you didn't stake it because you expected it was going to go down because of volume going down, and you totally missed an external factor that you couldn't have planned for, but you could have just kind of let it ride a little bit. So
fair. I'm still trying to decide now, because again, like, my Stimmy payout was huge, and if I unstake and add that back to my derby, now I'm looking like I got a sizable bankroll going into full season 1. So I guess it's hard. Do I want to like roll it? I mean, listen, I'm a gamble man, so I have no problem turning everything back over except for like some racing fees and trying to like just max. But obviously, it's not always, it's a gamble. The stock is a gamble. There's a world where it doesn't max, it goes down, and you get like way less than you assume you're going to get. But again, if for me, it's easy because I have a horse and a half in my stable, two horses in my stable. But I guess for like the mid-tier like barns that we're staking, I guess maybe it's a bigger deal for them. And then I don't know any of the large, like, you're a larger stable, but you don't stake, you don't partake in that aspect of the game. So I don't know how many other larger stables are like doubling down this season in prep for maybe we get something big and it shoots, or maybe it just stays what it is and we still come out on top a little bit. We win, but we don't win more.
Yeah. I mean, there's few hands that hold a lot of cards in that, and that's, you'd have to ask a person like Mr. B that already has a lot of Crown, because he's got a lot of PFPs that he's staking, and he's generating more Crown than basically anybody on the track. So when has he had enough Crown? When does he feel the price of Crown is too high or too low? So people like that have a lot of the cards. Obviously, Big Brain does as well, but Big Brain, being an equity investor in Photo Finish Live, I would think would hold any Crown they accumulate. So those are the people that pay more attention to than people like me and Ghost that are basically selling what we get. But yeah, I dropped 2 interesting sales in the private chat. You've got the one up now.
I was just going to go over the sales list after that. Well, before we posted these. So all right, we'll take.
I think this is a pretty heady purchase by Moknowz, probably done by Monkey Tennis pulling the trigger, but he definitely would have probably asked for this unless this was prearranged. So this is a commish breed internally, primetime with an A. But the A is pretty solid, left dirt firm. Obviously, primetime is 9 of 9 preferences, and he gets the 0-star right, which is a good outcome for him. He gets a filly, and he gets an S-. Now, the S- is probably irrelevant to the conversation. Technically, that's probably a little bit better than you would have expected, somewhere between an A+ and an S-. So not unrealistic, but it's a filly. And then it goes into Moknowz stable, who's already got some monsters at LDF. So he just brought in primetime to LDF pretty effectively. I'm a little bit surprised, unless it was a prearranged deal. I'm a little bit surprised Kamish actually sold this one. I would have kept that. And then the other one, I don't know if you've got it pulled up or not, this is when RVA was saying OEB was buying more horses. And it's kind of an interesting one in that it's a churro breed with an A-. So S+ with an A- makes an S-. That's probably pretty close to what you would get for averaging. And it stayed firm, which is what you were trying to accomplish in this one, I suppose. Turf preference looks fine. Right preference looks fine. Yeah, basically average preference roll, gets a filly. So that's another useful piece. So that brings 9924 into RTF. I guess the problem with that is 9924 is already in RTF now because of Walter White. So Churro and Walter White are the same sire. So you didn't need to do this. And obviously I understand why Kamish did it, because they're both his pieces. But I think this one is not nearly as interesting as the one that Eddie or Moknowz bought.
This last one was nice. Mr. B's ears were ringing when we were talking about staking and not staking.
Yeah, I just figured I would chime in. I think Stenz kind of said it right. I was in kind of both camps. I was doing the racing and selling that. But my PFPs are kind of my long-term play, and I'm not the kind of person who's going to try to guess the day-to-day, week-to-week price of Crown. So I'm just going to stake it. I do think you'll get less yield this period, but it's not clear to me how that will impact the price of Crown, because most people, they might be like, yeah, I'll get a little less this period, but it's really worth selling, taking the bet on how the market's going to play out. I do think there will be less sell pressure, like Stenz said, from the farmers. So the people that were kind of racing just to accumulate Crown and then sell the Crown, that sell pressure is going to be gone. People like, Big Brain, they were racing and accumulating Crown, but they were probably just adding to their massive pile of Crown and not selling it. So, I just don't think it's worth playing that game for me, because it's really my long-term, position in, the game in the kind of the more passive way. So I'm not going to play that game. But if people want to speculate on, how the price of Crown is going to change over the next month, if you think it's directly going to be related to the amount of racing volume, then I guess I'd sell. But I don't know that that's really the case. A lot of people, markets are not easy to figure out, and I'm just not even going to try to guess it.
Yeah, I mean, we all assumed that. It was one of the main topics for a little bit. Is like, after everyone retires, we assumed that it would slowly go down again until crop one hit the racetrack, and then that was the season to buy and stake, because we all assumed that maybe it would be sub 3 or even in the 2s, but we haven't even got close to that yet, which is great. But yeah, I thought for staking purposes was buy low and then stake right at first crop hitting the track in September.
The elephant in the room on Crown is, and like I said, I think it's interesting at this price, but the total value locked is 16,000 USDC. So that meant if you were trying to dump $1,000 worth of Crown at this price, like, you would crush the floor, and someone might pick it back up fairly quickly. But when we look at price and we say we expect price to go down, it doesn't take much in the way of a sell, just the same as it wouldn't take that much in the way of a buy to drastically change the price. So I don't really look at, we're down 7% in the last 24 hours. Like, yeah, you're going to have wide swings when you don't have much locked up in value. So, and I see in the chat, if it's Sikas or Sekas, yeah, he's buying because he expects race volume to go up in September. Yeah, and like I said, if you tack on any positive externalities to this, like if the team accomplishes anything, yes, you have the race volume going up, but then you could have something else surprise and delight as well. So I think it's a reasonable decision.
Now, Stenz, I had a question. There was a huge notice, time notice on this change in the thing. I'm just wondering how you spent the last, month or two kind of preparing to react to that.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I'm not in the Discord in an official capacity and haven't even been in a burner account today to see what the reaction was there. I know Good Guy Ghost got a timeout based on his commentary based on it.
I woke up this morning and saw that people were getting timeouts, and I said, today's going to be a good fucking day.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I think Mr. B agrees. The worst part about it is the timing and advance notice of it, and like, people were done breeding for the week. I think knowing that information probably actually maybe changes breeding decisions even. So I think it's pretty rough to get basically 12 hours notice.
That could be worked on. Timing.
And then I just don't know if they've clarified pieces of that. So I know that a hot button issue within that was 10% was going to be reserved for marketing. Well, what does that mean? Because does that actually mean that that's 10% that never is going to hit our existing players when we were told 100% was going to go to our existing players? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. That's probably the biggest philosophical issue I have with what they're doing, in the sense, and I don't think it matters from a financial standpoint. We're not talking a lot of money there, but it does say, like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean by marketing? And like, how is that? If your money's going back into the racing and you get a stimmy at the end of the season, or it goes into the purses, then that's pretty easy to see, right? When you say, oh, it's going to marketing, I think they need to be much more transparent about how that's going to play out. I'm not saying they don't need it, or it's not even a good use of the funds, but I think they probably would be wise to be much more explicit about how that small piece is going to be used. As far as like how this thing is going to affect racing in season 5, yeah, I think it's going to hurt it. I think farming will go down, but it's probably a good thing. Would I have maybe tried to wait another season to do it? Maybe, but that's not really my call. And, I don't think it's, it'll certainly impact people that are just racing purely from a farming standpoint. But I don't really think that's the purpose of this game, to just farm. I do it. It's not fun. So I'm totally fine with them kind of transitioning away from that. And, so season 5 might be the slog that we thought season 4 was going to be. And, then we'll all have fun come season 6. So I don't really have a big problem with it.
That was always my target of when this game finally hits its gear, is end of season 5 being season 6. Because now we have a ton of shit going on. You know what I mean? Like season 6, I think, or now. Where I just got confused with myself, because when I say season 5 or 6, I mean crop 5 or 6, crop of foal 5 or 6, because obviously we're in season 1 already, because it didn't really match up. But when crop 5 and 6 are actually on the racetrack, then I think everything is turning. But if you're talking about the actual season that we're in, then we're on different pages there. Do you mean season 6 as in like the active season right now?
Well, this is season 5, right? So
yeah, so you're talking about next month. You think?
I think season 6, everyone's going to have 2-year-olds, and it's going to be like Christmas morning, and you're just going to want to race. And so
when those 2-year-olds turn to 4-year-olds is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will pick up.
I think everything hits that cycle, because then the current foals are on the track as 2-year-olds, and then we have 2, 3, and 4-year-olds running, and now the gears are going, and that's the game. That's the rollout. This is where we're at now. But
I think the only part to that I would maybe counter, and where I would say maybe Doughboy is right, is it's a couple seasons after, not this coming season, but it's a couple seasons after that. Is the other hurdle we're going to have to get over as a community is we're going to have the back-to-back breeding weeks. And I think some people love that, and it's an opportunity for people. But if you're going to have people that are going to have to pay external covers in 2 straight weeks and only get Derby stimulus from one of those, and that Derby stimulus is going to be 40% of what it was the season before, there's going to be some sell pressure at the end of this month leading into the next month. So then, maybe you crush it a couple seasons after that. And I saw the comments in the chat. Rollo clarifying a little bit on marketing funds is going to be referral and deposit match incentives. I guess my comment on this would be, okay, we just said that this stimulus, the total pool of stimulus was $45,000. What does $4,500 get you? Like, what kind of marketing are you going to accomplish with $4,500? And I guess you got to start somewhere. Fine, but I don't know if it was worth carving out for $4,500. And maybe eventually that number is a very big number if it's still 10%. So I kind of get it from that sense. I like Latuda's comment of the 10% should go to GVG and company who onboarded all those new players. I mean, like I just said, $4,500. GVG paid more than $4,500 to onboard those new players. So certainly shout out to GVG for being definitely more generous than anybody at that point.
GVG would likely no sir that, if I'm being honest. He would say put it somewhere else. That's just my speculative answer. If they offered him 10%, I think he might say put it somewhere else. But that is a decent. I mean, he's done he's been the marketing push. Like, he's been the onboarder. Like, props. Obviously, he gets uncontrollable props. He's gonna get props no matter what. But yeah, I don't know that if Third Time offered him dollar dues that he would take them. I don't know. Maybe he would. Maybe some. Maybe not all. But who am I to speak on that? I did post a race in the chat that we had some wagers on. There's about 26 minutes until it closes, I think. So if anyone's feeling feisty this afternoon, load them up and we'll get Mo to call it. And I don't know if GV's lurking or not, but obviously, maybe he just messaged me. No, but he's obviously welcome to come up whenever he wants. I did send you the link.
So
The other big sale was this broodmare sold for 150K. Right before that, primetime full sold. And for clarity, in USD, the primetime full was about 1,700 USD, which is kind of nice. And Elnath just went for 150, so probably about 1,800, 1,900. So these sales are, I like seeing them. I like seeing the big sales. That's just me. I think it's good. And then, obviously seeing the smaller sales is nice too, but let me refresh and see if there's any other fulls that have gone. No.
The Elnath one is interesting because it's Thal who just can't quit this game apparently as the buyer on it. Because I know Thal had been selling a lot of pieces, but he must have thought that this was too cheap at that point. I don't know LDS well enough to know, but certainly seems like an interesting piece. Being a Philly S-, it'd be pretty comparable to Joey Porter Jr., although I think Joey Porter Jr. is a little more total boost and probably a better ticket because it's LTS Philly. So this would be maybe a price comp for your boy Zook if you wanted to kind of figure out where you're at in the market. I would probably put 20% more on this total and then call that the Zucchina value or Joey Porter Jr., but decent comp.
Zucchina's probably not going anywhere. Mr. B, did you see the full she shit out? Let's go. Got an S.
What was this?
This is the Serenity Now breed, yeah.
Yeah, I got it. I got an S as well, but I think you
got any breed reports laying around back there?
I probably. Well, I don't know if I have
Mr. Doughboy. That can count as my 2% towards the Serenity selling out on stream. No big deal. But yeah, I'm happy for this. I text him. He has no clue what's going on. He hasn't responded yet, but. Yeah, definitely happy with this outcome.
You're gonna name it live on stream?
Yeah, what happened?
You're gonna name it live on stream?
Yeah, I do.
Better get it before it gets sniped.
Wow. Good guy Stenz, is that the name?
No, he's sent me a list of names. This one is gonna be Rooney. So that's what he wanted. Which I'm not mad at that one. I like singulars. Everything's going to be Steelers based because that's fucking Zook. I doubt he puts a Mets name in there because of the condition of the franchise. But yeah, I'm happy with this one. I think this is dope. And honestly, I said it earlier. I was like, what are the chances that Mr. B rugs us and triples the price on Serenity Now next month?
Nah.
What a good guy. Quadruple instead.
I don't follow Stenz when it comes to pricing my studs, but otherwise following what Stenz does is usually pretty good advice. So, going back to this, I know we discussed it on the last stream and you brought it up a few minutes ago, back-to-back breeding. I mean, imagine having a stream right now when the next breeding season's starting at the same time. We're not even gonna have a chance to digest like the foals that you have, and then you're starting the breeding again. So yeah, I just can't stress how much I don't think it makes sense, not only from a standpoint of just spacing things out. I know at some point, if you want to get to the first, you have to kind of move it up. But I just want there to be a reason why you would race. I want to be able to race horses at the age of 3. And I think the economic incentive will still tell you, don't do that if breeding's
for fillies. Yeah.
So I don't think we want that in the game. And maybe the team, I'll probably at some point go in the Discord and express myself, as a wise ass and maybe get a timeout. But I'd like for them to explain kind of why they want to do it this way. And when they talk about as real as it gets, in real horse racing, you run the Kentucky Derby, then you breed your horses, not the other way around. So I just don't quite understand why you're going to want to potentially incentivize people financially to not run their horses as 3-year-olds when they should be, continuing to mature still, as opposed to basically saying, okay, I want to run this horse, but I can make a lot more money retiring it at the end of the 2-year-old year. And especially with the aging that's going to be coming in here, we're going to pretty much be just guessing in a lot of ways. And maybe the hope is over time that it won't make sense to retire horses at 2 years old, and because you're just not going to know enough about them. But I don't think the breeding is that. It's not like you're just guessing. So I think people will retire at 2 rather than run at 3, and I don't really see where that's in anyone's interest for that to happen.
I don't like that.
Was an interesting comment about the Kentucky Derby, and if you think about it conceptually, yeah, like the Kentucky Derby is what I would consider early in the racing season, or at least like the Breeders' Cup is 5 months later than that. So it is weird that it's kind of the culminating of event of our year, our season, when really it's probably early in retrospect.
Yeah, Rollo brings up a good point. I think over time, certainly it might not be as profitable, and you won't want to do that. I don't know that, a season 6 is at that point though. So, there's different ways you can do it, and I'm sure the team has thought it out, and they probably something I haven't thought of, but just off the top of my head, it doesn't strike me as making sense, both from a racing standpoint and also from a content standpoint, where you're just like finishing one thing up and then immediately starting the next. We don't have a chance.
I don't like the back-to-back. I think that's I don't think that's good.
Rollo's point here, I think there's some truth in what you're saying here, but I think another factor that needs to be talked about in this context is full prices will likely continue to come down, but that's because you really should have had a decaying effect of the Gen 0 mare. Like your first foal was always going to be your most valuable foal because it's one of 1,000 foals that are generated that season. 5 seasons in, it's one of 10,000 foals that are generated that season. So, and there's already horses better than it. There's horses that have been racing for a couple of seasons. So yeah, they were going to go down, but I don't know that they're going down for the factor we're talking about of like back-to-back is going to tax a lot of stables. It will, and full prices will go down, but I think there's going to be a natural progression of full prices should go down all else equal. Now, if the top race is a $500 entry as opposed to like an $80 entry, then full prices could maybe go back up as well. But the biggest component of full values right now is the fact that the horse population is so small, and Philly population is even smaller than that. So therefore, your piece of the pie is a pretty big piece.
Indubitable. All right. I don't know what GVG's plan is. I think he's rugging me. It's all right. I accept. Another foal just sold, some cheap ones going. I expect this to pick up. Ooh, Smiley's coming in. He's an other game good guy. Knowles picked up a shitty horse.
I think I had something that had been listed for a while. In fact, I was talking to Soulmates just the other day, and I was surprised it hadn't sold. It was a, crop 1 foal, and it was right 37,000, 37,999. I think Smiley bought that one, if I remember.
Smiley's a good guy. I had the pleasure of having him on stream a couple times, or a time before. I talked to him a little bit last year, and then we ended up having him on stream. He brought a boxing legend, Zab Judah, on with us, and we had a good time. So maybe that falls over, and I'll eventually have him back on stream over here. But do you know which one it was?
That's why I gave the price. There it is. Naomi Pierce's foal. So I had priced it to sell like 2 weeks ago, and I was surprised it hadn't sold. And sure enough, he scoped it out. So I thought that was, it's not like a key piece in the game, but I thought it was a good price for someone, just coming in.
Smiley likes to have fun. As long as he's having fun, everything's good, and he doesn't mind spending. Some of his breeds from the other game were like he worked out with top stables, so I imagine he comes back in and does it. All right, I got GVG in about 15. So
yeah. Carter, what did you get what did you get for your gender? Or what was your foal? I guess we can pull it up. You had Harry Trotter. I don't know how quickly I can find it and drop the chat, but that was a nice LTS A purchase that I was a bit jealous of, and I was ready to buy instead of him buying it. But I did the noble thing and let a new player buy their first horse as opposed to me buying my 50th horse.
I really didn't expect you to be buying so many horses, but I guess there's really nothing else to do until you can start racing. So you got to do something, right?
Well, I think the pivot that we've sort of made and why we're buying more horses is because Mr. B is trying to ruin the game and ruin bees and pricing stuff so cheap. So for me to use my studs, I actually need more filly volume. Like I have to make my own volume as opposed to, just actually getting a hit or two from the actual public. So that's kind of the issue that I've had, and that's why we bought a couple more.
All right, I guess I'm not allowed to look at his stable, but this is the GVG one he got. This is the foal. Why don't it let me go to try?
I've got it. I'll drop it in the private chat.
What the fuck's going on here? Third time? Jesus. You got it in chat? Let's go.
That's his stable. Why am I not seeing the foal from Harry Trotter? What am I missing, TriStar Carter? If I go to Progeny.
All right, here we go.
Because he's got it listed. Wow.
Yeah.
Some fair weather fan you are, dude.
No, he did explain himself. It's basically the same thing. It's going to sit in my stable for 2 months before I can run it. It might as well sit with a price tag that someone maybe will buy.
He took an A to an S- and got an S-. That would be a great outcome in any measure. And it's the same Blood Moon that made that crazy S or A+ kick to the downside. This has got to be one of the better ones. That's definitely out kicking your coverage, and the preferences are super solid as well. Although maybe that is just the averaging effect. Yeah, weird. Both horses were 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and the foal is as well. That is a nice piece, even if it's a colt.
Yeah, that one we did talk about. It was nice. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, it's good. And Danny Bananas, I know he was here earlier. He got in on the GVG deal, but he bought a foal, so he gets to cash in when he retires in the future, which is fucking nice. That like I thought that was sweet. Like you couldn't come in and buy a Gen 0. It didn't matter if you buy a foal. You literally have a breed credit. Like that's like, yeah. All right, Danny posted it. Let me get it up here. That's like obviously, it's GVG things, but like that's why I thought that deal was sweet. All right, you can't come in and get a racer right away, and if you can't, here's a foal plus a voucher for the future. So this is the one he got off of GVG. I think GVG bought this one, and then just like it was like a sell, but this is where he's at for the next one. I don't know if you guys have any input on the actual breed. It looks like it'll be an A racer, nothing huge.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good racer though. Like these are the horses I would try to target if you're going to try to target colts. I know this is a filly, and that's a better outcome. A filly's always a better outcome, but not always, but with green tickets, it's a better outcome. So this is an A+ into an A, and it made an A. So the average would suggest it almost has to be a very top A, because the A+ is a very good A+ too. So like if we're gonna have handicaps assign weight based on grade, and we're going to have allowances assign weight based on grade, and we're going to have A restricted racing, which the third one there, that A restricted racing is still up in the air. We would love to get some clarity on that and the time frame for that, but allowances are here to stay, handicaps are here to stay. If they're going to assign weight by grade, like this thing should be a monster racer for at least a season. And that's why I said if it was a colt, maybe it's a monster racer for like 5 seasons, and you don't care that it's a colt because you're not going to breed it anyways.
Zook got back to me, but he said, "What's the projected value of our foal? Like, what's the point?" And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Stenz gave an evaluation on Joey Porter because an S- in the same archetype just sold."
Well, it was a different archetype. Yours is a little bit better piece than that.
Well, yeah. I guess with LTS you can see, and that's the one thing too. It's like don't want to experiment too much with her, but I kind of want to see if I can get a foal that switches to dirt. And maybe it holds LDS.
I don't think it's worth it. Not for that. The reason that horse is valuable is because there aren't that many LTS fillies, especially that high.
Oh yeah, he wants to know what the projected value is of a foal would be. I don't know. I'd have to look unless one of you two has it.
Well, I mean, I want to let the market settle for a day or two before I project what the value is going to be too. And it's tough. You guys have had me on stream the entire time, so I haven't even had a chance to like really grind through our own stable to see what we'll list. But for anybody that's out there interested in horses, I'll certainly list some, maybe later in the day today. And I'm sure Mr. B's got a few that he'll have to sell eventually here as well. So more to come on that. It's tough to follow the reveal, the stream, and the marketplace.
Well, it's a lot going on in one day. You know what I mean? It's, we'll catch up. We still have the entire day to go, Yeah, this is a good deal. This is what I suggested Danny do. Come in, just buy a foal, and then find a cheap claimer to just play around with. Mo, you all right up there? I got a race coming up for you to call, and we'll get.
Yeah. I'm just soaking in all the good insight, man. Just listening.
Perfect. All right. The I guess thanks for my guests that are here, but the most specialist guest of all has arrived. Welcome, GVG.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? What's going down? What's up, boy?
Are you available to share your screen, or would you like myself to share it and then just
you can share it. I can just look on yours. It's good.
Stenz, you want to control it since you're smarter than me?
I can. I gotta not do the StreamYard mirror effect, so give me 2 minutes to get to the stable and hide the screen.
About 3 minutes. So after this race goes off, we'll go through.
I'll be ready for that then. Is there anything that you want me to look at in particular, GVG archetype or?
No, you can just sort by highest class, and we can kind of work down that way.
Okay. All right.
Kind of an underwhelming breeding session for me.
Oh my God, he agreed. Did you hear my comments on your stable before or no?
No, I did not. I'm just now joining, so
there were some comments.
I'm trying to catch up on all things. New breeding season, takeaways, hot takes, what's happened. I'm like literally just trying to catch up. I had scrolled through my stable on my phone. I was dropping my son off is doing like a couple overnight hiking camp. So yeah, on the way back from that, I was just scrolling through and looking on my phone, but I haven't really gone and digested everything yet. So what have I missed?
Well, you did miss that Prime Time got an S+ fall from an S-, which probably won't make you too happy.
That's pretty awesome, yeah.
Yeah, definitely didn't happen for you, but no, you have to go back and, as a reminder, Doughboys streams are at least available for replay for a little while on Twitch and then for a long while
they're on for
YouTube.
Good on YouTube. You just got to scroll through.
So I would recommend, if you want to learn something about the game, GVG, watch back the part where we walk through your stable. And yeah, I would agree. I think it's probably the nut low for what your total stable could have accomplished this breeding window is what you got. And then you get teased with an S+ last window, so you kind of almost had expectations of getting one this window and didn't. So, but the race is up, right? Or we got a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about not getting any S+s this round, where I on paper felt like I had a much higher opportunity to walk away with at least one S+. But like we've talked about before, there's going to be plenty of S+ that underperform, and just because it shows S+ logo, that does not translate into a winning racehorse. So a really strong S that has some good synchronized distance preference from its parents, I think is going to be a more valuable racer than an S+, but maybe some of those attributes that pushed it to an S+ don't match distance preference or whatever the case may be, which may equate to a little underperformance on the track. Either way, though, gender-wise, I'm still actually going through and trying to fully digest my genders, but it looks like I got a lot more males this time than last time. So not super stoked on that. A couple of them I'm not, bummed out too much on.
Yeah. Call this race real quick.
Cool.
And then we'll get you back on it. Mo,
yeah, sure.
I got you set up here. Take it away.
All right, we go.
All right, horses are at the gate here for the Bamboo Forest claiming 75K price tag. Come and get them. And they're up and rolling here. Out to the quick lead. There goes Bill Stickers down at the rail. Arraignment Neptunia runs alongside, followed by 34 in third. In fourth, in the White Silks, is Registry Company and Don Quilione. Track 50 here in the early going as they head down here into the opening turn in this 5 furlong left turning affair on the turf. Track is good, and racing is quick here from top for Arraignment Neptunia. Had to wait for that to pop back up. Opening quarter in 24 and change though. Modest pace up top. Arraignment Neptunia now being stalked by Bill Stickers. Break of 2.5 comes 34. Don Quilione there. Tracks in fourth. Stalking Trip and Registry Company as they head up the top of the turn now and head for home. And off the rail is Bill Stickers. Shoots in front by 2.5. Arraignment Neptunia calls it a day, but Don Quilione shows interest. 34 down the center of the track, but all they can do is watch here and battle it out for second as Bill Stickers is going to win this one with ease in the final 8 pole over 30 Fork and Don Quilione.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, the A+ wins the 75K claim. That was pretty obvious on paper. And that was a betting favorite too.
The bettors had it first and second betting choices.
That's all right. That's all right. One day when we get exotics, that'll be better. Someone put 400 on it off the bat roll though, and then I went in and I bet the 5 who ran second. So obviously, everyone wins. Listen, a win is a win. That's profit. Plus, you got your payouts today, so you're actually rich, which is great. All right, GVG, we can get back to your thing. I got Stenz. You want to?
And I can pull up. I'm just trying to do only the window this time to make it a little easier.
No worries. No worries. There we go.
Let me know when you can see it.
You're up.
All right. Okay, so again, suggestion for the team, which I think has been made by someone, is there's really no way to delineate between 0 age foals and age 1 foals. So we'll just try to kind of scroll through and.
I haven't named anything yet, so you can just look for foal. Yeah.
Fair enough. That is a good way to do it. So yeah, I did talk about how you cheated on us with RTF this time, and then you actually paid for it with one of them, only getting an S- with your S-, which I think was maybe the same last season when you used Jupiter and didn't get an S when you probably should have. But this one went to, remind me, Indian Wells this time. Yeah.
Yep.
So decent preferences here. You get a Colt, which you definitely didn't want, but.
Yeah, not stoked on that one, but Artemis is 2 for 2 on breeding S offspring now.
And I think that's something we'll see consistency in that. So you missed some of the commentary of Bell, which is good guy Nate, Golden Boot Stables, Nate LFC. Bell is what on paper looks like a fairly average S. I understand it's like an S20. It's a great piece, but of all the horses that are making S pluses, it made an S plus twice with different sires used. And the other one, Scuba Stephanie, which is out of Grape Syndicate, they put the same pair together back to back. They took a Ziggy, Spider from Mars, and then Scuba Stephanie, which is Scuba, obviously.
Yep.
And the same breed got S plus both times. So that's a long way to say that. I think these fillies that are having consistent breeding results now, a sample size of 2 is not really a sample size, but that did play out in V1 and V2. What looked good on paper, maybe wait for it to happen 3 or 4 times, is something that's going to happen. So
yeah.
Cosmo, I saw this one. This is at least you got a filly here, but you definitely were thinking bigger on this one as well, I think.
Yeah, so I was really hoping for 1 S plus from Morningwood here. You know, we did both my SLDF girls to him last season as well as this season. At least, you know, the bright side for me is that they flip-flop. So the ones that had a colt with him last season had a filly this time around and vice versa. So it gives me some strategic pieces to be able to mix and match internally. With some S- pieces down the road and some things like that. So, you know, who knows? We'll see how they actually run on the track. You know, like the S versus the S plus. Sure, everybody gets excited, and it's, you know, would love to see some S pluses, but I'm not getting hung up on it. We're so early, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I took Gaia this time to pasture ass. So Gaia is one of those weird Astros where she leans on the long mid side.
Yeah.
You remember her? She won the first season's right dirt championship. So this is the 2 right dirt championships mashed together here. So we'll see it. Got a little bit of a rug on the direction pref. I think they're both 2.5, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah, and it went down to 2. So
we won a coin flip on dirt though on the preferences, so probably as a whole, it's probably about right.
Probably about right. Yeah, the Colt with the 2 1-of-1s is not ideal breeding wise for me, but this one, I think this one may actually be really strong on the track. I'm hoping.
I think it will be, and it's what you're talking about is, again, we've talked about 3 times on this stream already about, I'm guessing that the distance preference is going to more or less average what the horses were. But what we saw when we charted every foal that happened in the first one is kind of the stat distribution for all the horses within a given archetype are more or less the same, with the exceptions of the 1-of-1. So Scuba had stamina regardless of what archetype you got. But if you look at RTF, all the RTF fillies, again, not from 1-of-1s, had start and they had stamina, but they didn't have speed. So if we're making kind of universal assumptions about what the distance preference of a foal is going to be, it's a hard game to play, because a profile of start and stamina but not speed would tell you you're mutt. You wouldn't have a distance preference. But conversely, if you look at a horse like this, that rarely, on the Astro side had an S+ stamina, and the Scuba always had stamina no matter where it was at. Like, this is one on paper where the distance preference should be easy. And if you're breeding into distance preference as opposed to taking a Ziggy and a Scuba together, where Ziggy on paper definitely prefers to sprint always, and Scuba always prefers to run long, does that end up at an 8 furlong mutt? Is it because it takes half the attributes from the sire and half from the dam that it can just pull the distance preference from one of those 2 parents? That's the part we don't know. But I like the gamble here. Yeah, you have history of success on the track with the S+ heart. You won a major even if you didn't have the S+ heart here, and then line the stats up perfectly across the board. So yeah, maybe not great that it's a Colt, but it should be a good racer.
Yeah, this is the classic example of, like, I think, that versus the example we were talking about earlier with the Scuba Stephanie with a Ziggy and a Scuba. Like, I think this Astro Scuba matching distance preferences, this S can be a better racer than that S+ that's a Ziggy and a Scuba, because I think that distance preference might get watered down, and you might end up with a horse with great attributes but lacking that strong distance preference comparatively to its peers. So we'll see.
Yeah. We can move through some of these ones quicker if you want. We don't have to go through all of them. You tell me.
Yeah, I did a couple with OEB there. Got an S out of Ivory. It's a good piece to be able to play with. Colt, which was, but whatever. Let's see what else we got.
Here's some heavy hitters. I'll pull all 3 of these, or all 4 of these up in a row.
Okay.
Actually, 5 going through Supersonic.
Spirit of Ecstasies yet?
Not since we've got the man of the hour on with us. We did this
That
morning.
was the first S+, and then this one.
Yeah, so Matriarch took her to prime time. On paper, really good matchup in terms of the stamina side of things. I know that Primetime actually ran his best races at like that 6 furlong, 7 furlong range. Matriarch was one of those kind of, 9+. She performed extremely well. So we'll see where this one ends up. Got a Colt out of it, which is not the end of the world. I have, many other S fillies that I can take this guy back to. Almost all my Gen Zeros. Well, yeah, all my Gen Zeros, because I only have one Scuba Gen Zero S filly, which is her Matriarch. So this guy could, potentially go with every Gen Zero S I have. So we'll see what we get on the track. I mean, this is one that I think that is probably really close to being an S+. Distance preference wise, I'm anticipating, slightly shorter than Derby distance, something in like that 8-9 range. I think is probably going to be the wheelhouse. But we'll see what happens.
I think you phrased it well in that this is probably the one you actually love, that it's a colt of the two.
Mhm.
If you had to have a colt, you'd take the one that you can use internally with primetime blood and not worry about inbreeding on the scuba side. So yeah, your context was good there. That's actually probably a better outcome than I initially called it.
Yeah. So let's see, Royalty, wanted to pair her with Zeus one time. So paired her with Zeus's brother Ace King on the first go round and got an S. An S out of that. Kind of still trying to figure out what's going to be my best play with Royalty moving forward. She's a little rare because she did pull an S temper as a 1 of 1, which was pretty darn rare in the total, population. So these two were really strong on paper, a lot of heart from this horse. So I'm anticipating this to be, a really good racer.
And you would, I guess, probably assume that it should be shorter distance preference, or the S plus stamina here is weird to go with S plus start and speed, but
yeah, I think that
Zeus
she
having
just
the
barely
start.
wicked. I think that Royalty just barely wicked into that stamina. And I'm anticipating, this offspring to be like a 6, 7, maybe 8 is kind of the max that we're going, but should have strong start, speed, and heart. So,
and this one, I think we can fairly say you got rugged on the gender, or at least from what you would have wanted if it was going to be an S.
Yeah, absolutely would have preferred a filly here. So, but the way I'm kind of looking at it too is when everybody's rushing to retire their Gen 1 fillies, if you have a really good Gen 1 colt that's on the track and tearing it up, leave them out. That'd be one that I can leave out there and run for like 4 or 5 seasons, if it's a really good racer. So now we're just hoping on the racing upside.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, so Spirit of Ecstasy, took her with Primetime. These two look good on paper. Had a good role for preferences on this one and a good filly role. So really happy with this one. Can take this back internally to Zeus. This is one that could, go with that Primetime matriarch breed if we want to put some more stamina and finish into it. This is a good piece.
Just to clarify your last comment there, you're not going to inbreed on purpose, right? You couldn't breed this with another primetime breed.
Oh, sorry. No. Yeah.
I thought you were just going to
you never know.
Play fast and loose with a $1,500 breed on both sides.
We'll see. This is one I'm assuming that one is probably really close to being an S+, especially with the preference rolls that he got. So Stargirl, she's a Ziggy pure sprinter. Her in Primetime was hoping for an S+ here, but I'll take the filly. White face is always fun. I think she's the only white face I got from the 4 primetime covers.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really odd because a lot of these, like I said, we talked about it earlier. If you line the stats up, like a lot of these should have come out S+. Like, it's just really weird.
Yeah, I was anticipating one at worst.
Every month.
Yeah, I was kind of my expectations were 1 at worst out of the 4 primetime covers, with 2 if we do well. To get 0 is a little kind of meh, but with the way that we've all seen radials and how they interact, I mean, I could be a percentile away,
Yeah.
So it's really not worried about it. All right, so Supersonic, just like Cosmo, took her back to Morningwood again. Came out with a colt this time, which I'm actually happy with. Going to be able to do a lot of stuff with this guy in house in the future. We'll see. We'll see what kind of runner we get from these. This is kind of distance preference wise is probably going to be that end up if it plays out like we're anticipating, kind of meeting in the middle of those two preferences, probably going to be a 7 to 8 for a long horse. But yeah, could be a good piece.
I think this is going to be better than you think on the distance preference, because we'd looked at Morningwood when we went through yours the first time. And, it's tough to evaluate race results because of the racing meta we've had. But I think Eddie did most of his racing early when racing was a little bit more legitimate. And it seemed to be the best at 8 furlongs.
Yep.
And I mean, Supersonic definitely would have been like 11. So this was maybe one of the ones I was most curious to follow both times you did it, because I think you're probably hitting the Derby distance preference in both of these. And then the other interesting one here, and the reason maybe a Colt in this case isn't bad, is somehow taking 1.5 firm and 1 firm got you 2 firm. That's some Southern math there or something. But
nice work roll there.
Worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. Could be a Derby contender.
I agree. Yep. I don't know if there's any of these S minuses you want to spend time on. What was the S minus you did with Prime Time?
Yeah, Cleopatra, just right there, Your Honor.
Ooh, and you got a Colt. That is a rough beat there.
Yeah, it's a rough beat. I mean, it is I only have one non-one of one Gen 0 RDF Colt, Aristotle. So this does add a second true non-one of one blood in it at the S minus level. So internal breeding in the future could strategically, use this guy to get some fillies to pop out an S that still has no one of one blood in it that we can take anywhere we want, basically. So looking at the upside on it, obviously, was hoping for an S filly, but
Yeah. Do you at this point, do you ask for a refund on this breed? I mean, you didn't even get you didn't get an S.
It's a rough roll there, especially when we're seeing, Necron Nemesis roll up to an S plus. So
yeah, it would have been like basically the same. I mean, the filly used on that one was a little bit better on raw stats, but otherwise kind of the same thing. That got an S plus global grade versus this S minus global grade.
Yeah. So
did you see the Eddie breed?
Maybe a killer in restricted though. I mean, S minus restricted, that thing might just tear it up.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. As long as
Cleopatra was definitely competitive in the S minus restricted. So yeah, we'll see. I did not see Eddie's breed. Tell me about Eddie's breed.
So this will make you feel better. I was trying to make you feel better about your outcomes and show you the worst breed of the 2 seasons combined. Let me get to it.
Well, he was due for a bad roll. He had some really good rolls with Morningwood on the first time, 2 S pluses.
Oh, and he got another S plus. Don't worry about that. But the most expensive horse ever.
Did he get it with Lucy, or did he get it with G Spot?
He got it with Lucy again.
Interesting.
Decent preferences. But when we were going through this morning, because I had a hard stop at 11:30 Eastern, so I wanted to be prepared, have this filtered, and look for stuff.
Yeah.
So when I was filtering, I included SS minus. I didn't expect it, obviously, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss one if we hit an SS minus. What I didn't include in my filter was A plus, and this is certainly the most disgusting breed that has happened so far. And like you said, like global grades and everything, I know Roll's saying it as well. Like, one, this is going to be like a really good racer, no question. But when you have the raw assets that made this piece, you're
are these 2 big S minus pieces? Yeah, wow.
Yes, that's it. And it's a Colt too. It's like that's EA.
I was gonna say, we saw some A pluses like with an S minus. Wait, which one we saw? It was
and he lost both coin flips on preferences too. So this is 2.5, 2.5, 3 and 3. Like,
yeah, so
that's a coin flip. That's a coin flip.
Yeah, to me, this just is like screaming, like, hey, maybe even more something to look at here with the high match pairs going together can give you either high upside or high downside,
Completely
really like
agree with that.
A big risk, big reward, which is maybe a little bit different than a lot of the people that targeted high match horses were anticipating. I mean, I think a lot of them were anticipating high match was going to lead to more consistently good outcomes versus a chance for a big roll, but an equal chance for a bad roll. I just hope the people that have those can stomach the volume game, because that's really what you're going to have to play with these high match horses, especially when you're pairing two of them together.
Right.
But he may roll this again and get an S plus out of it. Like,
we don't have history on our side on 2S minus to make an S plus, but I agree. It seems like, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. I hesitate to call it matches anymore because we think that it's not. You got the benefit of the matches, and the benefit of the matches is over and done with. Now, I think that carried through on. They basically always rolled up on temper from the revealed stats, and that's maybe where matches are still alive. And yeah, if you have the stomach to swing this breed 10 times, you're at least going to get one great outcome. So right away in like V2, like I think the first season of V2, the two S minuses came together and made an S, and it was like the best S for 10 seasons. So
yeah,
we know the upside outcome exists, but I think it's relatively new that we're actually seeing the downside outcome. Even if we believe the breeding reports to be completely true, and I have no reason to disbelieve them, I can pretty confidently say in like V1 and V2, you didn't see a lot of outcomes like this.
Mm-hmm.
You can steal the screen back, Doughboy, if you'd like.
Tough roll for Eddie.
We saw that S minus, A plus, but we saw some A. I think the JJ had one, the A plus that hit the S minus and produced an S.
Yeah.
We had an S minus and an A plus create an S, huh?
Yeah, a couple of them I think this season as well. Yep. Yeah, you're definitely seeing the upside hit, and some of that existed in the betas. I think we're seeing more of it than we did in the betas, but it's interesting that we had 20 S pluses in the first breeding window, and we have a lot less than that, but yet we're still seeing a lot of rolls up to the good. And then you're seeing breeding consistency, like I said, where Bell's made 2 of the S pluses in back-to-back windows. Scuba Stephanie's made 2 S pluses in back-to-back windows. Obviously, Eddie's got the Olive Lucy that has made S pluses both times as well. So
yeah, I mean that's one of those two that like you get excited seeing the S on paper, but I mean from a real life return standpoint, it might have been better off getting 2 total attribute points lower on a radial and coming out with an S minus and dominating restricted races and breeding the same. I mean, you know what I mean? Like the 2 little points are not going to make any big drastic difference when it comes time to breed. So we'll see. I mean, we all look at it as a big up roll. It may actually be a bit unlucky that it went to S and it didn't stay as like the top S minus.
Oh, that I agree with the racing meta we have, where there's at least a spot for S minus restricted, which we think may go away. But even if they go away, we have that kind of sweet spot where you have the allowance races that, as long as allowances are still assigning weight based on grade, there's that kind of tweener A plus S minus allowance setup that S minus has definitely got a spot there for as long as those races stay in that format.
So I didn't realize GVG that Zeus produced an S plus season 1.
Yeah, he only bred with one S horse. That just the tip was his only.
He ran it back and he
pairing
got
with
an
an
S this time.
Yeah, made an S this time. So
yeah, I ended up with an S minus for mine, which I'm all right with because I got a filly, which was great. It's great for this stable because the first go around with Ace King, we ended up getting a colt. But I'm happy with my S minus here, so it opens it up a little bit more. Now we can get some breeding done afterwards. But yeah, Jamie and S first time, S minus. So I know it's nice to have that. Now we got building blocks. Now we got 2 horses in the stable. We got 1 we can race and probably won't breed. Maybe he will, depending on how he is, because the Ace King blood, who knows what it'll be down the line. But the filly's obviously what everyone's going for. So we hit the filly. We lost the letter grade, but it's not that important in our situation with this stable. But yeah, I think I'm fortunate. We did three breeds between Tish's horse and Zook's horse, and we ended up with 3 fillies out of everything. So all the small stables that we have assets to grow now. But yeah. Obviously, you had a huge thing going on with breeding. I know we covered your horses. I had Carter come up. He showed off the deal he got from you. I know Danny got hooked up with a horse from you in a future breed, which is great. And a handful of other ones. Hero, and I wasn't able to reach out. I'm pretty sure he's on the other world timeline.
Yeah.
Where he's sleeping when I'm doing this now. But in the future, I'm going to get them on. Come race eligibility. Those foals, I'll probably have those people come up and do the maidens. I know I'm going to try and put a big stream together for maidens, so
that'd be awesome.
Mo, look out for. I'll probably need you for race calling then. It'll be a big day.
Hell yeah, no.
Stenz, give me like the 2-minute recap on your internal or just your barns breeding this month.
So the problem is you had a chance to look at your stable privately without talking while you were doing it. And I still haven't had that chance for ours. But what I'll say is, like, we definitely crushed getting fillies on our good fillies. Like, no question on that. And then our RTF experiments with Walter White to try to keep fillies but bring them to RTF worked very well. So our S fillies continue to disappoint. We had we went ape with, which is the Astro. There's only really 2 top Astro fillies there. We have one, and Kamish has one. We put that with Apollo. That got an S. I think it ended up being a Colt. I think.
Which one?
And that's disappointing to get. If you do full, there it is, right there, a Colt. So if that's a filly, I'm pretty excited about it. Preferences are what the preferences are. You hope for an S plus. Like, that's our worst outcome of this breeding window, I believe. And then Goat was our other S filly that we have, and that one we had the sneak peek or when the preview when we could see what the outcomes were going to be. So an S and an S, both prefer distance, resulted in an S. But Walter White has 1.5 soft and Gold only has 1.0 firm, and it got a 0-star soft. So, like, that's a pretty nice outcome. The Diana one was probably a little bit rough there, but because it was an S minus with Walter White as well.
Okay.
So Diana's a 9 preference, S minus.
Just a beast.
You would think that the top S minus with an S would get you an S.
And a really bad
it's at least a filly.
Too.
Yeah, it's at least a filly. Trust me, the rest, I mean, we don't have to go through them in detail for the second time, but the rest we absolutely crushed.
Good. Good for you.
Pretty happy overall. The top stuff continues to hurt us. Our S fillies have not bred well in the first 2 seasons, but everything else is rolled pretty well. So
good. So let me ask you this. I mean, we're obviously way too early, and this is 100% speculation. This is just a for fun type question. But if you have 2 sisters that are Gen 0 fillies, same PFP, matches, tributes, everything's identical ticket, right? If you take those 2 to the same stud 10 seasons in a row, do you think that we will see one just has something in it, is a better breeder? Like, do you think we'll have a real concept of better breeders that just consistently breed, up versus some that are maybe have more variance? Or what are you thinking there?
Yeah, Mr. B is actually probably the guy to answer this question because he at least raced his horses in B2, where we bred up as many horses as anybody, but we didn't race them. But yeah, I think it was pretty clear, at least in V2, that you would have outcomes consistent to the good that couldn't be explained other than that it seemed to be a good breeder. How that matched with, because it's the same thing we talked about. If you take an A plus with an S and you get an S, you'd call it a good outcome. But like we've talked about, it's probably not that good of a racer. So that's the part that Mr. B can probably provide context to.
I'd actually think that it's really tough to know just from a sample size. You're really not going to know with one horse. So even you talk about Bell and having 2 S pluses, well, maybe it just got lucky and got 2 S pluses. It's also possible that certain pairings, if the way I remember Paul explaining the genes and all is, it's possible certain pairings of horses are just good pairings, and it's not necessarily that a particular horse like Bell is a great breeder. So it's really conjecture. And the only way you're going to really know is just, with the sample size getting large enough. I don't think, and you talk about like getting a bad roll there with Diana. You're not going to hit everything. I think, and I think Doughboy's talking about expecting to get an S plus, barring like breeding with an S plus. you shouldn't expect to get one. So
Yeah,
even
sure.
if you think it's more likely to get one than a non-one, you know, it's not likely to happen. So
Sure.
I think in the first beta, I bred like back to back, you know, almost like 15 seasons, the same colt, you know, that my top S filly with the same colt. And even then, I only got maybe, you know, 30% of the time. I think it would pop up to an S plus, if that. So
Yeah.
So I ran She's the One back with DP Durban Poison multiple times, and you know, I got some really good S pluses, but most of the time I'm going to get an S there, even though they're both, you know, high level S's. So, you know, could I have gotten 2 in a row and thought, oh my God, this pairing is incredible, I'm always going to get an S plus? Yeah. But I don't know that a particular horse is going to be a great breeder. At least what we were told, that would probably lead to having more matches and that being more likely. But like you guys discussed and we talked earlier, you're going to get more variance there to the upside and the downside. Though if you want the home run shot, that's the way to go, where you're going to get an outlier to the upside. Outlier to the downside is annoying, but an outlier to the upside is going to be worth way more than the negative impact of an outlier to the downside. So yeah. I think it's probably worth doing, but you're right, it is a kind of numbers game. And if you're a small stable, it can be really frustrating. You know, Eddie's got enough horses, so yeah, it's a little frustrating, but he's also had some big winners. But if you have like a couple of horses, you know, you're buying a lottery ticket, I guess, when you do that. And, you know, maybe you'll nail it, but it can definitely be more frustrating. Whereas if you look at a stable like yours, you know, you can kind of play the numbers game, and over time, you know, you'll end up getting an outlier to the upside.
Yep. Who'd you pair She's the One with this time, Mr. B?
Well, interestingly enough, I was debating between Mundo and going back with Durban Poison, while my dog in the background is someone must be at the house. And then I probably still would have gone Mundo, just because everyone seemed to be trying, you know, new stuff to bring into RTF, or at least to pair some of the RTS one of ones, 9924 and 9925, with the RTF one of ones, which are 9922 and 9923. But then I checked the last day, and Durban Poison was delisted, so I couldn't even do it, even if I wanted. And at that point, since Jupiter, while it's known to rug on its breeding so far, is also a 9922, I couldn't really hit it with him. And then the next top one was in, so I couldn't do that. And then the 9923 Big A is a decent horse, but it's probably like low, you know, 280 or 300 ranked, you know, rarity fine filly. So there's much less of a chance to get an S plus, I think, with She's the One and a horse like Big A. That's more useful if you have an A plus and you want to bring it up, than to necessarily try to nail an S plus. I think for the S plus, you want to try to hit the very best with the very best. And, you know, so at that point, Walter White, you know, Stenz had already done a big run with that. So I figured, all right, well, that 9924 blood's going to be in RTF anyway. Plus with Tony Rigatoni and the Zephyr horse, you can easily get 9924 blood into RTF if you want. They have no preferences. So pretty much any S filly can hit one of them, and you will have an RTF 9924 blood. So I figured I would try 9925. Like you, I kind of had not the best results, particularly with my RTF stable this time. I had 5 A plus and my S. All 6 of them were colts.
Wow.
And She's the One didn't even.
But you don't mind the She's the One being a colt in that sense, because if you're the first legitimate colt with 9925, that I get it says RTS, but everybody understands what you're trying to do. Like it's a reasonable outcome. I'm sure you would have loved to have 0 star soft or somehow find a way to stay firm, but
it evens out. I mean, I'm not excited about it, but you know, what are you going to do? Some days, you know, the dice go your way. Some days they don't. The thing is, I think Monkey had also bred with Mundo, so he probably has something that's similar with She's the One. Maybe it's a half preference, but it'll be a similar horse. I didn't check to see whether it was a filly or a colt. I know we didn't get an S plus. I did look at that, but I can't remember. So it is what it is. I'm really excited about the S plus I got last time, and you know, I got lucky on my LTS breeds where I got a whole bunch of fillies, which none of them are like jump off the page spectacular, but given the paucity of LTS fillies, that's a pretty good outcome. Just because there's so few there that now, you know, you really want, if you had to pick a particular archetype where you want to get a filly, it's LTS.
Yeah.
Just because there were so few and so many colts at the top there.
Just to fill in the gap quick, Serena Star got a half star firm, which is actually an underperformance for that outcome, and it got a colt. But it does, on paper, look like an RTF, so that's helpful. And that, you said that went with Mundo? Yeah, yep, it did.
Very happy with our filly that we got from Joey Porter, especially with hitting Serenity. So like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to run it back next month again, unless something drops in price. But if
so we can't drop any lower than
well, I'm talking about the other one. Like I want to hit Scoop Pup, I want to hit Doobie, like, but if you're staying the same on Serenity, then you know what I mean, once you hit Tits and Gold, you don't want to leave that spot until you run out. So I'm interested to see what we get run it back next year or next season. But I was stoked. The only other thing that I might want to try and do with her is like hit an LTF maybe, but I don't know how good I don't know if the LTF stallions are better than the LTS stallions. I don't play in that part of the game.
We'll let you know when they show up.
Yeah, if you want LTF, you should talk to Soulmates. That's probably
and he got a good. We looked through his stable the first season. He got a really good LTF outcome for preferences, and it was a colt.
I don't know if it's one of those like educated gambles. Like, is the risk like it's risk reward? You know, does it pay out, or do I get stuck with like a zero preference firm? Which that wouldn't be bad. I guess I wouldn't be upset if it left her firm, but.
Yeah,
I think what needs to be solved for at LTF or LTS more than getting the preferences to have more firm in them is it was pretty clear like all LTS preferred long distance races, and anybody that can actually bring in a sprinter to, even if it's LTS and as opposed to LTF, like bringing in sprint distances there. So I know SoCal had some good luck just truly running an LDF there. He bred 2 LDF sprinters together this time. He got kind of a negative outcome in all intents and purposes, but if he wants to race LTF, he's probably going to crush. So yeah, if you were out of pocket GVG, that would have been maybe one of the other highlight reveals of the day is Rose of Zion with California Love. So
yeah.
Ziggy sired on the California Love side, and then female Ziggy on the Rose of Zion side. Got a colt, got an S, didn't really outkick anything on preferences, but it's kind of what we've talked about is if Ziggy is a known sprinter, he's really the only person that's stuck 2 S's together that are known sprinters at LDF, right? You have Hercules and stuff at the S- level, but if you're a full subgrade lower, it's hard for me to pick a better sprinter of this population we have, even if it's not an S plus than the horse you put together there. So.
Yeah,
you bring up a good point, Stenz, and it in this first few crops, it's probably not that important while we're kind of learning, but everyone's focusing on the preferences. But I think over time, the real game will be to kind of bring the different attributes of the various archetypes into the other ones. So getting speed into LTS might be more important over time than necessarily just maximizing preferences. And you talked about the RTF things where they all had start and stamina, or most of the top ones do. So the thing that might set people apart down the road is exactly that, getting speed in there. And that might mean you have to kind of go to the other archetypes and bring some of the qualities that the horses in those archetypes have into a different archetype. So that will take some experimentation. That's maybe where the HRM people will help elevate the game of some of us newbies.
It's kind of like the way that it's similar to the way that Mo's going. You're doing it slow. You're not just forcing the breed and like forcing it to happen. You're taking like 2 or 3 seasons to build it out, and then at one point you get there. You transfer it over, and then you have that in Antarctica. And it's not going to be a two season thing. Like, it's not going to happen next season, the season after. It's going to happen later when you can build out the roots a little more. I think it'd be dope. I think it's gonna be pretty sweet to see the crossover, because like the one thing from real life breeding is like you can breed strictly for turf, take your turf mare and go to a turf stallion, but that's not the goal. Like, the goal is to have you're breeding to hit a Derby horse, and obviously only 20 of those ever exist every year. So like if your horse happens, you're breeding for dirt and your horse happens to win on turf, like it's not going to pop up in real life and say, oh, you can win on turf if you run here. You have to look down the generational gap and see where there are turf runners on the mother's side. When I look at that, I only look at the mother's side. I don't look at the stallion or any of that. I look at the mother's parents and grandparents for like if you're looking to build or if you're looking to breed a turf horse. That's what you would look for.
Oh, hey, Doughboy, if you want, you can go to my my stable and we can pull up and do the reveal of my giveaway horse for everybody that's participating in my event.
Yeah. Let's do that. I forgot about that. Where am I at here?
Absolute legend, GVG.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, do it. Hey, just do a search for ISIS. ISIS.
Oh, nice. Don't flag me, YouTube.
I actually got to roll out, boys. Stenz,
Thanks,
GVG. Pleasure talking with you guys.
All right,
Doughboy,
Mo.
thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you guys. And I will we'll chat.
Take it easy, bud.
Take it easy.
Third time Thursdays, every Thursday with Mo.
Is there peace?
Yep.
Little up roll on the firm, on the condition there.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Colt. I'm sure everybody's bummed out it's a Colt, but yeah,
It's a racer.
it should be a good racer.
Yeah.
It should definitely be a good racer.
What do you do with
Let's
the giveaway?
see. I don't know. Maybe do it tonight. I'll just do it on someone's stream that can stream
Want me
it.
to go
So
live? I'll go live. You tell
yeah,
me.
we can do it. You want to do it? Yeah, let's do it
Yeah,
tonight.
fucking do it. We'll run it back.
And then if you want to hop over to Blue Elder Stable, easiest way is probably to go stats on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then stable.
Yeah, you put a Twitter post together and we'll shoot it to the moon.
Yeah, now you're looking for a Foal of Longitude. That's the one that he donated to be given away. And that was 2 9 of 9 pref parents.
Did he name it already?
Nope, it's a Foal of Longitude.
It was all the way at the bottom. That's why. No disrespect.
Yeah, so Philly roll here. So someone's going to be getting a 9 of 9 pref Philly.
Oh, that's juicy.
Nice building piece, yeah.
That's juicy. Yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to
so-
Blue Elder. Shout out to I forgot who the other state was. Was YSM did something or was it? Oh,
Yeah, YSM did General Duke covers. OEB did a bunch
And
of
a raffle.
covers.
They have a raffle as well.
And a raffle as well, yeah. So
dope.
big thank you to everyone who helped participate. I think it's been really successful.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of new faces. I mean, a lot of familiar faces from my point because I was in the other game, but a lot of my friends are coming back to have fun now. So it's like, you go away on summer vacation, then school starts again, we get to hang out again. So summer vacation is about to be over. And it's all fun from here.
I think I was looking a little bit last night. I want to say roughly, 60% of the people who participated in my event have purchased more than one horse.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome to see. And then like 75% of the people that came in and bought a filly to participate in the event have gone on and purchased a claimer and are playing the claimer game, which I'm encouraging them all to do to really learn the game. So
we had someone in here earlier that did that. They purchased a foal, or they purchased something from you, and then they're like, "Yeah, I just went and got a claimer, so I didn't have any downtime." But that's what Danny got a horse off me. I told him the same thing. I was like, buy a foal, get locked in on a deal. Like, you have a future breed, so you get to have fun, and then when it's time to retire, you already have a voucher. And then I know he's looking for a claimer, but he's gotten outshaken on a couple of them so far. But he's trying. But yeah, it's good. Honestly, I think that's the best way. It's just find a cheap claimer, 5, 10K, and if that's your limit, or even 15, you can get a 15 that runs in 20 and 25 sometimes. But that's the best way to learn it, honestly. Hit the ground running and just wait for your foal to come of age.
Yeah. So, hey, do we have a total count on how many S pluses were birthed this season?
I think
someone in the chat had 20 and 20, 21st season, 20 this season. So it was a push.
Oh, another 20. Okay.
Yeah, that is a push. That's nice. Well, that's still good though. That's pretty consistent. So maybe next season, who knows? Maybe we go slightly under, or we saw. What was the breed we saw earlier that pushed out an S plus last month? They ran it back, and they had another S plus this month.
That's the one with Scuba Stephanie.
Is that the Scuba Stephanie one? All right.
Yeah, that's Scuba Stephanie and and the Ziggy LDF.
Yeah, that'll
Spider from Mars.
Spider from Mars, correct.
Yeah.
Maybe they run it back next month again.
I bet they would. Yeah.
You keep hitting the well until it runs dry. I mean, that's what you do essentially. I don't know. Worse, the ones that don't pan out, hopefully they're fillies and you just have breed fodder.
Yeah. Hey, what did Breaking Bad do with Blue this time?
Went to Doc and it got a. Did it get an S? I think it was an S.
No, it was S plus. I think it was like a 1, 2.5, maybe.
Yeah, it was Colt though, right? I can't remember. It wasn't as great as you could have hoped for, but it's still a pretty useful piece for sure.
Yeah, S plus, 1 right, 1 dirt, 2.5 soft.
Yeah.
So it basically kept the mother's preference and added a half star on soft.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he loses he lost major rolls on right end dirt, right? Like that's
right.
Average should have been 1.5.
He lost
he was hoping for 1.5 too.
And then he got a Colt as well. So yeah, that's why I thought. I mean, I would run the breed back again, but that's not the best outcome I could have been hoping for.
It's a weird thing when you got like horses. I had this, like I said, I don't complain about it, but when you're at the top of the curve, like last month with She's the One, where I got an S plus, and it's a filly. Like, what do you do? Who do you breed the filly with? So, like, if Blue had gotten a filly there at let's say the preferences are the same as a filly, like, where are you going with that? With a colt, it's pretty clear what you can do with it. But with a filly, at that level, what do you do? I don't know.
My good friend Wolof would say that you run that filly until there is a stud that is better than your filly that you can breed with. Until then, you run it. That's what Wolof says.
Slightly better.
Yeah.
Then you go for SS minus maybe.
But yes, but at RDS, that's the interesting thing is like, you might be waiting a while.
A long time. Yeah, you might be waiting a long time.
So
Rome wasn't built in a day. You gotta wait for some things. Can't have it all.
And then you don't know what to make of the preferences and like how much the stats on something like this are. So yeah, these are kind of outlier horses. You don't really know what to make of something like that. You don't really know what's under the hood there. So
yeah, hey, one thing I'm just thinking of, I don't even think I know the answer to. Stenz, do you know, like, so do preferences as obviously as well as attributes go into the total overall grade, or is the total overall grade only set on attributes?
So for Gen 0, it was, when we consider total boost, and a lot of people like to separate total boost from total preferences and say basically these are your boost and these are your preference boost. So now it's kind of the wild, wild west, and that's why Sours has kind of helped with it. If we can get to a point where it's automated, I'm fine sharing it. But at the manual process it is now is we're putting together what are the outcomes of all of these S- or better horses, and what was a realistic expectation of. If I took a S with an A plus, my realistic expectation should have been probably an S-. But in a lot of cases, you've got like where we saw the S and the S- make an S plus. Like that wasn't in the range of outcomes. So we're coming up with an expectation. So it's not a ranking of what the foals are and what's the best foal. It's how plus or minus did this look on paper from what the expected result was. But the other good thing to do with that is you're doing it for specific stat grades as well. So you can probably try to come up with an expectation of distance preference for the foal as well. And again, we don't know because all archetypes follow the same stat array, basically that, I don't know what makes a great sprinter at RTF versus a great marathoner if the stat profiles were basically the exact same. So that tells me it might be the wild, wild west when it comes to distance preference, but it's better to take an educated guess than no guess at all.
Yeah.
In answer to your question, unless I misheard it, when it comes to preference, like the RDF, that has no bearing on the grade. So
that has no bearing on the overall grade.
Correct. It did for Gen 0. It does not going forward.
Got it.
Perfect. So I mean, we can cut it off there. That was 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's nice. I love that. This is a new one this season. The Pelennor Field Sherry breed was kind of nice too, and he got super lucky. He got the S plus and the filly, so just win. Like
who was that?
But Breaking Bad with Sherry, they had Pelennor Fields and pulled an S plus filly.
Okay.
That one was kind of nice. Left dirt firm.
Got a Derby contender, yeah.
Yeah, or a producer, definitely some Sherry producing going on in there. But yeah. I think with that kind of bullet, you just fucking run it until you find an S plus that comes up. That's just as good, if not better. But I don't think there's a rush to take this horse off the racetrack unless it's just obviously not running, which I can't. The only way I see that happening is if there's no races for it to run in, and it just can't get on the track. But if this horse ends up not being a racer, I can't imagine what the foals are going to look like because it has to come out somewhere. Like I feel like most of these mares and fillies that can't pick up their feet on the track have to give something to the breeding aspect. But then again, I could be wrong, and they just might not. But you got to get something out of it, or it's a building base for something else. But
be interesting to see. I mean, so one of the things I'm curious to see is like a horse like this, right, full of Sherry. We have no idea. It may have gotten a really big, long wick, good roll on start, and so that pushed it up to an S plus. But it may have underperformed in one of the attributes that more aligns with its distance preference, and so it may equate to kind of an average horse on the track. We really don't know.
S plus heart is very, very interesting to me. I'd be interested to see what that comes like when this horse retires. I'm going to be very interested to see what the heart is.
I can't wait to retire Gen 1s.
Yeah.
I can't wait to retire them, and I can't wait to run breeding reports on them.
Yeah.
That's going to be opening the box and looking behind the curtains there a little bit of really getting an understanding of what's going on.
I mean, if it's fun now, when we get our first foals to retire, it's going to be even better, I think. So yeah, the game is literally starting to pick up speed now. Come next month, which isn't that far away, we get the wheels turning. It means more streaming, more action, more everything. So I'm down for that.
Player with straight fire in the chat all day. Told the wife I'd be down for lunch after the stream. Looks like dinner. So
you come back after dinner for the GVG giveaway stream. Yeah, that's what you do. Go down and hang out and come back. But yeah, GG, you let me know what time I'm home.
Yeah, for sure.
Tonight, but you let me know what time, do a write-up, and then we'll get it going from there.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, we'll get a time figured out and then put it out there on Twitter and Discord so everybody has a heads up.
Perfect. Mr. B, thank you for coming up. It's always fun having you up here. Stenz is like, I guess, my honorary co-host until racing starts, and then you can just go back to being a guest every once in a while.
Perfect.
I think I've been pretty lenient with your 10-minute talk time. Okay, over the past month or so.
Stenz has actually been doing good. I'm proud of him. He's been restraining.
I've only had to bring him in once. That's it.
I can see it on his face sometimes that he's just fighting it to.
He starts to turn a little red. That's But yeah, this is good stuff. Again, the replay will be up on YouTube forever and always. When I figure out how to do timestamps, you won't have to sit there and just click through. I'll just have everything marked, and you can jump to it. If you're new, hit the like, subscribe button, blah, blah, blah. Follow along, turn your alerts on. And, yeah, we'll cut it off there. And I'll be back later tonight with GVG for the giveaway stream. And we'll get a post up, and we'll get that circulated and get some bodies in here. But
right on, Doughboy.
Appreciate
you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do this again. But until then, Stenz, Mr. B, GVG, have a wonderful afternoon.
Hey, you too, sir.
Peace.